subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
He continued to start the state of swordsmanship practice. Mignon Island, east of North Blue Cayenne Island. It also has another name, the Barren Island, because the island of Mignon is covered with snow and ice all the year round. There are almost no outsiders except the people who have lived here for generations. On this island, people's food, in addition to those hardy animals on the iceberg, can only eat sea fish. Small animals on icebergs can eat small plants that grow in cold environments. Larger animals on icebergs, such as snow leopards, rely on smaller animals for their survival. On this island, vegetables and fruit are luxuries. If you want to eat vegetables or fruits, you can only go to the nearest Cayenne Island to trade materials. The Dawn sailed for 10 full days in the North Blue before reaching Mignon. Mignon Island is located in the most remote sea area of North Blue. Even the Dawn, it took 10 days to get here. Aldo, captain of the Apocalypse Squad, I have seen His Royal Highness. When the Dawn docked at a humble pier built by the Apocalypse team on the back of Mignon Island, Aldo, the captain of the Apocalypse team, hurriedly came to see EC. Seeing this, EC nodded slightly. Next, the Apocalypse team will also move to Dawn in the future. In addition, the sailors and helmsmen on the ship are temporarily under your leadership. Give me close monitoring of Mignon Island and the surrounding waters. Hearing this, Aldo responded quickly, as ordered, Your Highness. Immediately afterwards, EC stood on the bow and looked at the towering icebergs on Mignon Island. And Aldo started to call the sailors on the ship. Everything started to proceed in an orderly manner. EC didn't plan to leave here until he got op fruit. After all, the original book did not say which day it was, but only said a sea circle calendar 1509. And now, in sea circle calendar 1509, op fruit is very important, and EC doesn't want to be careless. Therefore, EC decided to rest and wait here. This is the backside of Mignon Island, and basically no one comes here. So, EC doesn't have to worry about exposure. Moreover, Aldo will also send people to regularly patrol the surrounding iceberg area every day. So, the confidentiality is still very good. Since it was decided to temporarily stop and rest, the problem of materials is also very easy to solve. With a small sailboat, or Aldo and their warships, they can go to the islands near Mignon for supplies. As long as Dawn is not exposed, no one will always pay attention, even if they go to supplies. However, these things don't need EC to worry about. The people on the boat will take care of these chores. And EC, who had now jumped off the Dawn, walked all the way to the depths of Mignon Island. With EC's current strength, such a little low temperature will not cause trouble to EC. Taking this opportunity, EC also wanted to enjoy the beauty of the world of ice and snow. As EC went deeper, a world of ice and snow came into EC's eyes. Towering glaciers, fluttering snowflakes, tough plants, snow-white snow rabbits, ice crystal lakes reflecting sunlight. Naturally formed ice and snow worlds are not comparable to ice and snow worlds created using devil fruit's ability. It's not a question of power, it's a question of beauty. In the ice and snow world formed by nature, everything seems to be so harmonious. The ice and snow world formed by using the ability is very rigid. As EC went deeper and deeper, at this time, on the halfway of an iceberg, EC saw a snow-capped lake that was not frozen. With a light hum, EC was a little curious about it. I walked up and used observation Haki to observe, and found that there were still some fish swimming freely in the lake. Raising his brows slightly, EC took out a fishing rod from among the treasures of the king. This fishing rod is also a noble phantasm. Fishing with this rod does not require bait, because the hook will automatically send out the information to lure fish. Interested, EC randomly found a boulder to sit on it and started a fishing trip. On the other side, while EC was resting on Mignon Island, the entire North Blue was disturbed by the actions of Dylan and others, which caused the calm situation to be disturbed. In just 10 days, Dylan and others relied on a large amount of information provided by the intelligence department. A large number of swordsmen and even swordsman-side weapons were forcibly taken away by force. Not only that, some forces also know that in addition to taking away the saber, Dylan and others are also very interested in scientists. Two of North Blue's famous scientific institutes are now empty. Unfortunately, what those forces don't know is that if there is no news of demon fruit power, I'm afraid they will know that Dylan and others are also very interested in devil fruit. North Blue, on the Don Quixote pirate ship. Hey, the North Blue is in chaos. Doflamingo, with short blonde hair, sunglasses, and a pink feather coat, looked at the newspaper in his hand and said with a weird smile. At this time, on this pirate ship, in addition to Doflamingo, there were also two officials of the Don Quixote family. They are Toripole, the cadre of the Plum Blossom Army, and Diamanti, the cadre of the Square Army. I said, Dover, will this affect our transactions on the side? The sloppy Toripole also saw the news in the newspaper and said with some concern. P.S. All the four cadres can call Dover, but apart from Toripole and Virgo, the others tend to call the young master, and of course they also sometimes call Dover. Don't worry, this little thing won't affect us. Hearing this, Doflamingo didn't care. I'm still thinking, the more chaos the better. If the entire North Blue is at war, then our Don Quixote family will be able to make a fortune. Swish. Let me see if these people can stir up the North Blue situation. Aside, Toripole nodded. Is it like this? Then I know. Hey. At this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came, accompanied by an anxious voice. Master, Marine is chasing after him again. It's Marine Vice Admiral Crane. I saw that Diamanti hurried to Doflamingo's side. Damn! Hearing this, a tic-tac-toe popped up on Doflamingo's forehead. Don't let me find out if there's really a ghost. Saying this, a cold light flashed in Doflamingo's eyes. Get out! Don't be overtaken by Marine. Yes. Upon hearing the order, Diamanti nodded immediately to organize the evacuation of the pirate ship. 33 Two Little Thief Cats, North Blue, Marine Fleet. At this time, Tu, who was Marine Vice Admiral and Staff Officer at the time, was standing on the bow watching the Don Quixote pirates who were speeding away. P.S. At this time, the Crane was not the Chief of Staff. When Sengoku was promoted to the Marshal, the Crane was promoted to the Chief of Staff together. Crane Vice Admiral. Do you need to speed up? On the side, the adjutant looked at the pirate ship that was gradually moving away and asked the Crane for his opinion. Hearing this, he shook his head and said, No, we're just monitoring them. Other than that, it's driving them into the Grand Line. The adjutant nodded after hearing Crane's words, and then left to command the soldiers. It was not until the Don Quixote pirates completely disappeared that Tsuru turned away from the bow. Back in his office on the warship, a soldier walked in with a few newspapers. Crane Vice Admiral, this is today's newspaper. Putting these newspapers on the table, the soldier saluted the Crane and left the office. Crane took a sip of tea from the water cup beside him, picked up a newspaper at will, and read it. In the pirate world, newspapers are also divided into different regions according to the division of regions. For example, East Blue Newspaper, West Blue Newspaper, South Blue Newspaper, North Blue Newspaper, Grand Line Newspaper. News of the world in short. It is impossible for the news of the world to gather all the news in one newspaper. Normally, people in North Blue can only see North Blue newspapers and Grand Line newspapers. As for the rest of the papers, the other three poster papers are largely invisible, except for the occasional glimpse of the news of the world. And because Crane is Marine, she can read all the newspapers with her own authority. Snatching swordsmen's sidearms and scientists. After reading other newspapers, Crane picked up North Blue's newspaper and saw at a glance what Dylan and others were doing. However, because Dylan and all cover up very well, even the reporters of the news agency did not take pictures of Dylan at all. It's understandable to rob scientists. After all, these people could be allowed to do research. However, what is the purpose of robbing the swordsman's personal weapons? Swordsman's weapons, in addition to the famous swords that can be stored and used, are ordinary weapons also useful. Moreover, Looking at this appearance, it is not a pirate. Is it someone from an underground organization or a special organization? At this moment, the crane frowned and thought. Unfortunately, after thinking about it, I still have no clue. Come on, unable to think of it. The crane did not continue to think, but called out to the door of the office. Soon, the adjutant opened the door and walked in. Crane Vice Admiral, what needs to be ordered? Notify all the Marine branches of North Blue. Crane pondered for a while, then said, let them pay attention to these people. While speaking, Crane pointed to the report on Dylan and others in the newspaper. Don't arrest them. So far, these people are not pirates, and it's not a criminal. The main thing is to find out which party these people belong to. Yes. Hearing this, the adjutant took the newspaper's orders and left. Crane watched the adjutant leave, stood in front of the window with a teacup, and looked at the sea outside, slowly falling into contemplation. North Blue, Mignon Island. Since that day, fishing in Snow Mountain Lake. In the following days, EC was fishing and practicing in Snow Mountain Lake every day. One-shot flow slash. Swish. An incomparably condensed golden slash flew over the Snow Mountain Lake at extreme speed until it disappeared. However, wherever the slash passed, all the frost energy in the vicinity was dispersed. All of a sudden, the temperature of the Snow Mountain Lake has risen significantly. However, as the slash flew out of Mignon Island and disappeared so far, the cold air that had been dissipated around it filled the air again. What followed was that the temperature of Snow Mountain Lake returned to its original state again. Withdrawing the sea burial knife, EC jumped up and sat on the boulder behind him and fell into thought. Before I knew it, it had been almost 20 days since I arrived at Mignon Island. For the past 20 days, EC has been practicing hard. After no major breakthroughs in other directions, EC has been focusing on practicing swordsmanship during this time. Pluton's swordsmanship, under the profusion of kendo day and night, has now been completely mastered by EC. Even when combined with sea burial swordsmanship, EC's kendo has made a great breakthrough. However, EC has been suppressing his kendo strength all the time, preventing himself from breaking through the realm of the great swordsman now. Because there are still a few days before Dylan and the others arrive at Mignon Island. These days, EC has also seen North Blue's newspaper, and Dylan and others have been in touch with Dawn from time to time. So EC is also very clear that Dylan and others have now collected quite a few swordsmen and even swordsman swords. Therefore, EC has been suppressing his own kendo strength, hoping to get out of his own kendo road in one fell swoop after gaining insights from Witch Saber. However, EC's practice during this period was not without the slightest gain. At the very least, EC also had a rough understanding of his own kendo after having the swordsmanship of Burial Sea and Pluton. Combining his own situation with the rules of the world, being the king inside and outside, is the path EC chose. From beginning to end, the so-called swordsmanship, fruit ability, Haki, etc. are all tools for EC to become stronger. So, if you really want to pay attention to something like sword intent, it's all nonsense to EC. EC is not as obsessed with swords and kendo as Hawkeye Mihawk. Not to mention that EC has the thinking of a modern person in his previous life. He can't do it at all. Even if EC is the only heir to the kingdom, it is impossible for him to put all his thoughts on swordsmanship. Therefore, leading all of his abilities with his own spirit is EC's last choice. Sitting on top of the boulder, EC looked at the snow-capped lake with ripples blown by the breeze. With a thought, all the clothes on his body fell off, and then a fish jumped into the lake. Hissed just as he entered the Snow Mountain Lake. EC couldn't help taking a deep breath due to the icy lake water. Chill out. Heart flying. At this moment, as EC dived deeper and deeper into the bottom of the lake, the icy aura became more and more intense. The whole person became extremely awake, and his thoughts seemed to be watered by a bucket of cold water, which seemed extremely cool. Just when EC dived into the bottom of the Snow Mountain Lake, I saw that not far from the boulder where EC's clothes were placed, two heads quietly poked out of a snow field. Sister, do we really want to go there? What if there is no good thing? A childish voice sounded slowly. I saw a little girl with a single-sided glasses on her left eye and a dark green sister's head whispering. Also, we didn't see anyone when we just came here. He won't sink to the bottom of the lake, right? I heard people say that it is unlucky to take things from dead people. Listening to the words of a younger sister beside her, the young girl with wavy grass-green hair and golden pupils rolled her eyes involuntarily. Sugar, we're running out of supplies now, and we don't need to care about whether it's dead. Besides, the weather is getting colder and colder if you don't get something warm. Even if we hide in the cave where we live, we'll be frozen to death. Okay, now let's hurry up and take those things. After speaking, the young girl got up and left the snow. Hearing this, Xia Tang seemed to remember something, and the whole person couldn't help shivering. Okay, sister, you're right. Now is really the time to not pay attention. Sugar doesn't want to be as cold as before and can't sleep anymore. Afterwards, Xia Tang did not hesitate and quickly followed the footsteps of the young girl. With the two figures fully revealed, if EC is here, one can recognize at a glance that the two are the cadres of the future Don Quixote family, the two sisters Monet and Xia Tang. At this moment, at the bottom of the Snow Mountain Lake, EC, who was snorkeling, suddenly stopped his diving. With a flash of gold in his eyes, observation Haki instantly felt two weak figures approaching the place where he put his clothes. Huh, there are people here too. EC was a little surprised, didn't expect someone to come at such a deep position. When the figure turned around, the whole person seemed to be standing in the water. Pushing hard on the soles of his feet, using the moonwalk technique, EC rushed towards the surface of the water. Boom! Wow, with a loud bang on the lake. A lot of water splashed on the lake. The sudden change made Monet and Xia Tang unable to react for a while. A large amount of lake water fell on the two of them from the sky, and the icy lake water turned them into chickens. At the same time, as their bodies suddenly became cold, Monet and Sugar shuddered violently under the cold and quickly recovered. Hey, so cold, Sugar, run. Just when Sugar kept beating her little body and wanted to dry the lake. Monet's complexion changed dramatically after he came back to his senses, and he quickly pulled up the Sugar beside him and ran quickly in the direction he came from. In midair, EC narrowed his eyes as he looked at the two people running towards the distance. The body shook off the water droplets on his body, and then his body flashed back to the boulder. After a few seconds, he put on his clothes again, stepped on the boulder, and the whole person disappeared on the boulder. Where do you two want to go? With EC's voice from far to near. Under the terrified expressions on Monet and Xia Tang, EC's figure was intercepted in front of them. You. Looking at EC, who was intercepting in front of the two of them. Monet quickly put the Sugar behind him. Looking at EC in front of him, he didn't know what to say for a while. 34 The encounter between Monet and Sugar. EC stood in front of the two of them. Looking at the girl and the little girl in front of him, his brows could not help raising his eyebrows. This looks familiar with grass-green wavy hair, golden pupils, and a tall stature. Although he looks undernourished, isn't this Monet? And the little girl behind her with a dark green sister's head and a single-sided glasses in her left eye, isn't that Sugar? And EC remembered that he just heard the word Sugar. Looking at the two in front of him, EC also felt a little strange. It seems that he should now meet these two sisters before that guy Doflamingo. However, it is not difficult to understand the timeline. After all, according to the original timeline, both Monet and Sugar joined the Don Quixote family after the Op fruit incident. Although the original book did not explain which island the two were born on, it is certain that the two were born in North Blue. What EC didn't expect was that the two were actually on Mignon Island. It's a coincidence. You. Who are you? What do you want? At this moment, Monai looked at EC, who had been silent, and only looked at the two of them, and suddenly took a deep breath and said boldly, "Oh." Hearing Monet's words, EC nodded lightly. He was satisfied with Monet's state of mind. Without answering Monet's question first, EC's left hand slowly stood up as a knife. Under the watchful eyes of Monet and Sugar, he slashed towards the snow beside him. Swish! There is no sensational sound, and there is no grand power. Some only have a deep crack that is 100 meters long. Gudong seeing this, Xia Tang's body suddenly softened, and the whole person slumped on the snow. Although Monet was afraid and his legs were constantly shaking, Monet still insisted on standing in front of Sugar. Looking at Monet's appearance at this time, Issei's heart became more satisfied. In fact, when he saw Monet and Sugar, Issei planned to accept them. Not to mention other things, Issei likes it very much just because of the beauty of the two girls when they grow up. Coming to this world, Issei not only wants to develop his own business, kingdom, but also to win a big crystal palace. After seeing Monet's performance, Issei was extremely satisfied. Although he is afraid, in order to protect the people behind him, he is still able to face his own enemy strong. As for the Sugar, Issei doesn't have any bad feelings. After all, she is just an ordinary girl. It is normal to have this reaction. Looking at the two women, Issei narrowed his eyes and said in a murderous tone, "The two of you want to steal from me, and now you've been caught and asked me what to do. Now, you have also seen that, as thieves, although you have attempted to steal, you have no right to ask me what I want in front of me." Gudong, hearing Issei's deliberately murderous words, Monet and Xiatang couldn't help swallowing. "Now I ask you answer. If the answer is satisfactory to me, I can let you go. If I'm not satisfied with the answer, what are the consequences? You have seen it just now." Hearing this, Monet and Sugar inadvertently turned their heads and glanced at the deep crack. If you have anything to ask, just ask." Gritting his teeth, Monet replied with a slight trembling. She didn't dare to say anything. Is it true that Issei's answer is satisfactory and let the two of them leave? Because after so many years of living with Sugar, Monet knew very well that for powerful people, the more he questioned, the faster he died. Looking at the two women, Issei's mouth slowly drew an inconspicuous arc. "So, who are you? Why are you stealing from me?" Hearing Issei's question, Monet took a deep breath and began to answer. "My name is Monet. This is my sister. Her name is Sugar. We are..." Next, under the constant questioning of Issei, Monet explained everything one by one. Under Monet's explanation, Issei also roughly knew the situation of the two women. The two girls were born on Hay Island in the south of Mignon Island. Monet is now 17 years old, while Xiatang and Issei are generally 9 years old. The two women were originally townspeople in a town on Hay Island. When Xiatang was 5 years old, pirates invaded Hay Island. Under the cover of his parents, Monet took Sugar and escaped from Hay Island in a small boat from a hidden seaside. The parents of Monet and Sugar were beheaded on the spot by the pirates who were chasing after them. Afterwards, the whole island of Hay Island was slaughtered, and only Monet and Sugar escaped. Above the sea, Monet, who did not know how to sail, could only do his best to rely on his father's narration to sail towards the nearest island of Mignon. But above the boundless sea, the two thin girls couldn't stop the waves from attacking at all. A storm overturned the boat, and at the last moment, Monet tied himself to the Sugar with a rope and then floated with the waves holding a huge wooden board. Fortunately, when Monet woke up again, the waves pushed them to the coast of Mignon Island. It is a pity that, even if they are lucky enough to arrive at Mignon Island, none of the residents on the island are willing to help the two girls. Even because of the shortage of supplies on Mignon Island, the two women were also driven out of the area where people lived. As a last resort, Monet started a life of wandering and scavenging with Sugar. Monet, who didn't know navigation, couldn't go out to sea with Sugar, and could only survive by relying on the animals and plants in Yamanaka. In such a life, the suffering of survival is all on Monet's body. Unfortunately, misfortunes do not come singly. When he was hungry, Xiatang made his left eye myopia because he ate a small purple-blue fruit. Fortunately, when Monet secretly went to his residence to scavenge waste at night, he saw a lens. Although it cannot cure Sugar's myopia, it can make Sugar's left eye see things clearly. In this way, the two women depended on each other, relying on scavenging and Yamanaka's way of catching small animals, and survived with difficulty for 4 years. For 4 years, in the endless iceberg, the two women found a cave as a place to stay. After getting acquainted with this kind of life, the two women can also occasionally eat a little meat, such as snow rabbits, so that the two of them will not starve to death. However, the weather this year is different from the past. This year, Mignon Island is colder than usual, and the temperature even drops a little every day. After Monet also discovered this problem, he frantically picked wild fruits with sugar and made traps to capture small animals and reserve food. The reason why they came here today is because they felt movement when they came to this neighborhood. But when they arrived, they didn't see EC's figure, so they thought that EC had been drowned. Therefore, after observing, I paid attention to EC's clothes. They were driven out by the people of Mignon, and it was impossible to buy anything. Therefore, their daily items, such as clothes, are secretly obtained by scavenging. For them, a little bit is a little bit, and they're all useful materials. EC quietly listened to the encounter between Monet and Sugar, and he couldn't help but sighed inwardly. So, EC really doesn't like the pirates in this world. When watching One Piece in a previous life, EC didn't have the slightest affection for the group of pirates. In EC's view, none of the pirates are good, and all pirates are a group of criminals. Using slogans such as dreams, adventure, freedom, etc. as an excuse to go to sea, what he did was a sinful thing that was different from a slogan. Even Luffy in the original book is a sinful pirate in EC's eyes. If you want to go out on a sailing adventure, that's certainly no problem. The question is why it is necessary to go out to sea in the name of pirates. According to EC's knowledge based on the original work, in addition to pirates, there are obviously other occupations in this world. Explorers, fisher tiger in the early days, bounty hunters, merchants, treasure hunters, adventurers. There are all kinds of occupations. To be honest, EC wouldn't necessarily watch One Piece if he wasn't interested in the magical devil fruit ability and big wave beauties in his previous life. You know, no matter what world you're in, there's something called celebrity. What is the celebrity effect? Celebrity effect is the effect of attracting attention, strengthening things, and expanding influence achieved by the appearance of celebrities, or a general term for the psychological phenomenon of people imitating celebrities. Even if Luffy really sailed all the way without doing anything bad, the celebrity effect he produced will make a lot of people use Luffy as an idol to go out to sea as a pirate. Those who go out to sea may follow Luffy's example and try not to do bad things, but there may also be a phenomenon of burning, killing, and looting. So from the beginning to the end, EC didn't like people like pirates. Just like in Sabeti Archipelago before, if it wasn't for his lack of strength, EC would probably just kill Rayleigh to get his saber instead of sitting in the shop and trading with him. Even if it was a deal, EC didn't say anything else to Rayleigh because Rayleigh was also a pirate. On this side, after Monet finished speaking, he looked at EC nervously. When EC came back to his senses slightly, he didn't say much, but waved his hand gently. I saw a golden ripple appearing in front of Monet and Sugar. Immediately afterwards, a large number of houses and thick clothes fell in front of the two women. I am very satisfied with your honesty, and these things will be given to you. Looking at Monet, although EC wanted to accept the two of them, he didn't say it right now. After all, no matter what she said now, she should be considered their enemy from her standpoint. Monet and Xiatang looked at the supplies in front of them, and their faces couldn't help showing surprise. They never imagined that EC would give out so many materials unexpectedly. Monet and Sugar were already able to spare the lives of the two of them. However, so many additional materials have been given out now. Seeing the reaction of the two, EC shrugged lightly. Without saying anything, he walked past the two of them and walked towards the direction where Dawn stayed. It's just that it doesn't wait for EC to go far. Monet, who was standing there, seemed to have decided something. He gritted his teeth and turned around and shouted at EC. Wait, wait, wait. Please wait for a moment. Aside, Sugar looked at Monet in surprise and stretched out a small hand to pull the edge of La Monet's torn clothes. Sister, what are you doing? Hearing this, Monet stretched out his hand to hold Sugar's little hand without explaining. Instead, he glanced at Sugar, then turned his head again and shouted at EC. Please wait. 35 Monet and Sugar. The conversation with the 5 elders at this time. EC slowly stopped after hearing Monet's voice. Turning around, looking at Monet and Sugar, EC asked curiously, why did you tell me to stop if you didn't go back with the supplies? Looking at EC, Monet clenched his teeth and finally seemed to have really made up his mind. Holding Sugar's little hand, Monet slowly knelt down towards EC. Not only that, the sugar on the side also knelt down under Monet's lead. Elder's sister. Seeing this situation, Sugar was stunned. Sugar, don't talk. And Monet whispered after hearing Sugar's words. Then, Monet looked towards EC. Grown-ups. Although Monet knew that EC must be younger than himself, he still called EC an adult. Monet knew that the weather on Mignon was starting to get colder. Even with the supplies given by the adults, even if the two of us have spent a period of time, we will quietly die in the severe cold after the supplies are exhausted. Monet is very grateful that the adults can give us these materials, but Monet doesn't want Sugar to die at such a young age. Monet knows that we are of no use to adults now. However, if the Lord is willing, Monet and Xiatang are willing to serve as slaves and maids, serving the Lord to the fullest. I just hope the adults can take the two of us out of here. Having said that, Monet slowly lowered his head. Monet was not afraid of death, but she was afraid that Xiatang would die with her at a young age. For granulated sugar, from the moment his parents died, granulated sugar became the only motivation for Monet to live. If they have been living here, the two of them will be silently frozen to death in this place sooner or later. So, all along, Monet has been looking for an opportunity to get out of here. It's a pity that after so many years, there is no suitable opportunity. However, just now, when I saw that EC did not kill the two of them, and even gave a lot of materials, there seemed to be a flash of light in Monet's mind. Not blaming himself for stealing shows that EC has a big heart. Not killing the two of them directly shows that EC is not a murderer. In the end, a lot of supplies were even given out, indicating that EC has a good heart. So, when EC was about to leave, Monet decided to try if he could leave Mignon. Monet didn't want to stay here anymore. In a snow-white world, Monet couldn't see the slightest future and hope. In 4 years, Monet has never met a person with such a kind heart. She didn't want to miss this opportunity. Even if she was a slave and a maid, serving EC, Monet wanted to leave with Xiatang. After their parents broke up for the two of them when the pirates invaded, what they wanted to see was not Monet and Sugar who died prematurely, but Monet and Sugar who could live well. Tread ta-ta-tau, EC's footsteps sounded, and as the footsteps got closer, Monet's lowered head also saw EC's feet. Head up, EC's voice fell, and Monet's head slowly lifted. Looking straight at Monet's golden pupils, EC said, "You know what you're talking about?" Hearing this, Monet gently nodded his head. I know, but Monet hopes that the adults can take in me and Sugar. Even if he was a slave and a maid, Monet would not hesitate. Here, Monet doesn't see a shred of future and hope. Sugar is still young. I don't want Sugar to die here with me. Aside, Xiatang listened to Monet's words, and the corners of his eyes could not help but accumulate tears. Elder sister. The little mouth moved, wanted to say something, but not knowing how to say it. He could only let his two little hands hold Monet's hand tightly. EC looked at Monet and Sugar and fell into silence for a while. Speaking of, I really want to accept the two of them, but is this progress too fast? I had planned to spend some more time to meet the two of them by chance. Then, after getting acquainted with them, he proposed his intention to accept them. But now this situation, well, unexpected. Do I also have the so-called protagonist halo? Can you do what you want? After pondering for a while, EC regained his senses. With a wave of his hand, Monet and Sugar were involuntarily supported by a force. Before the two girls could say anything, EC spoke. I see the sincerity in your eyes. So I promise. Hearing this, Monet and Sugar both showed happy smiles. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Monet looked a little excited as he kept bowing to EC to thank him. Then, Monet seemed to remember something. After pulling the sugar down in front of EC, Monet hurried to the back. Sir, wait a minute. I'll go get some things first, and I'll be back soon. Seeing Monet's figure running away quickly, EC was slightly taken aback, then turned his head to ask Sugar. Sugar, your sister, where are you going? Hearing this, Sugar opened her mouth and replied, Sir, my sister should be going back to the cave to pack things. Hearing Xiatang's words, 3 question marks appeared on EC's head. Is there anything valuable in your place? If it's just some supplies, I have a lot here. Moreover, my boat is parked by the sea, and there's basically everything on the boat. While talking, EC also looked at the pile of supplies that fell in the snow. Hearing this, Xia Tang scratched his head and didn't know what to say for a while. Reaching out and rubbing Sugar's head, EC put away the supplies and continued. Take me to see it. If there is really something important to you, I may take it directly. Although Xia Tang is the same age as EC, his height is still a head shorter than EC due to his lack of nutrition all year round. EC, who is now 9 years old, is already 1.5 meters tall. If he continues to grow at this rate, he should be about 2.5 meters tall when he is an 18-year-old adult. In the world of One Piece, ordinary humans are about 2 to 3 meters tall. For example, Marine 3 Admiral in the original book, Sakazuki is 306 centimeters, Paulsolino is 303 centimeters, Kazan is 298 centimeters. For example, some other people, Hancock 191 cm, Yamato 263 cm, Shanks 199 cm, Mihawk 198 cm. Xia Tang felt the temperature of the palm of his head on his head, and his little face suddenly turned red. Then come with me. Whispering in a low voice, Sugar broke out of EC's palm and trotted in the direction Monet left. TSK. Seeing this, EC couldn't help but laugh. As soon as he stepped, he easily followed behind the Sugar. Just when EC was about to harvest 2 maids, the news of the op fruit that EC had been waiting for quietly appeared on the sea. Although only a small number of people know, the vast majority of these people are very prominent. At this time, between the Grand Line, Red Line, Mariehua power, the 5 elders who represent the highest power in the world government are all here. The first is a black suit with white curly hair, a fluffy white beard, a flat hat, and a scar on the left side of the face. The second is a 5 elders wearing a dark blue suit with long straight white hair and a long beard. Because his name is unknown, he is referred to as straight hair 5 elders. The third is a 5 elders wearing a dark red suit, no bow tie, with short blonde hair, and even the beard is golden because the name is unknown, referred to as the blonde 5 elders. The fourth is a 5 elders wearing a dark green suit with a bald head, a splayed beard, and a Madara birthmark on his forehead. Because his name is unknown, he is referred to as bald 5 elders. The fifth is a 5 elders wearing a white robe, a bald head, and glasses. And this one is also the only one of the 5 elders who doesn't wear a suit and has a beard. Moreover, in his hand, he is always holding a samurai sword full of demonic aura. Because his name is unknown, he is referred to as the bald-headed 5 elders for short. At this moment, 5 people with the highest power in the world government are discussing the matter of op fruit. Bald 5 elders. Verified, it's really op fruit. Bald-headed 5 elders. Op fruit. We've been looking for it for so many years, and it's finally here again. Bald-headed 5 elders. That fallen marine was lucky enough to get the op fruit. Bald-headed 5 elders. But that fallen marine had Doflamingo as an intermediary. Does he know something? Blonde 5 elders. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Few people know the identity of this kid, Doflamingo. Bald-headed 5 elders. Indeed, at the level of a fallen marine, it's impossible to know this, so it's just a coincidence. Straight to 5 elders. Second, curly 5 elders. Coincidentally or not, the priority right now is for Marine to go and trade op fruit first. Curly-haired 5 elders. As for what happened after the trade, let CP0 go straight to silence. Op fruit is something that too many people know is inappropriate. Straight to 5 elders. Second, blonde 5 elders. If that's the case, let's just offer a sky-high price to that fallen marine. Blonde 5 elders. With so much wealth, I'm sure he'll keep op fruit intact. Straight to 5 elders. Second, bald-headed 5 elders. Then let Marine handle it. Let them contact and trade. Bald 5 elders. I remember now the Marine Vice Admiral cranes were hunting Doflamingo. Bald-headed 5 elders. Let Sengoku order the crane to complete this deal first. And as for Doflamingo, go after it after the deal is done. Straight to 5 elders. Second, bald-headed 5 elders. Indeed, Doflamingo, this kid, still has to watch right under our noses. Bald-headed five elders. In a place like the Four Seas, he can't be allowed to stay for so long. Straight to five elders. Second. Curly five elders. That's it, it's confirmed. Curly hair five elders. Let Marine deal with op fruit. Let CP0 deal with silence. Let Marine deal with it before continuing to drive Doflamingo into the Grand Line. Straight to five elders. Second. Shave five elders. Second. Blonde five elders. Second. Bald five elders. Second. 36 Surprise. Snow Fruit and Childlike Fruit Naval Headquarters, Admiral Office. At this time, the current Admiral Warring States just put down the phone bug in his hand when he heard the sound of chewing from the side. Looking at Garp sitting on the side with no manners, picking his nostrils and eating senbei, Sengoku's forehead couldn't help but have a well-shaped blue vein. Garp! A roar of Hudong roared Garp's hand, picking his nostrils for a moment. Then, Garp took his fingers out of his nostrils as if nothing had happened. By the way, the cloak of justice that was still hanging on the shelf in the Warring States period seemed to be wiped inadvertently. Garp! You old bastard! Seeing this, Sengoku's forehead burst with blue veins, and his eyes stared at Garp fiercely. In response, Garp touched the back of his head and said with a laugh, "Ha ha! Warring States, why are you yelling so loudly? Didn't I just eat some of your senbei? So stingy." The whole body of the Warring States period glowed with a little golden light, and the phantom of a big Buddha was looming. Death to the old man. Feeling the indifferent look on Garp's face, Sengoku, who could no longer bear it, flashed golden light on his body and disappeared with a shockwave. After hearing a loud bang, there was a human-shaped hollow on the wall of Admiral's office in the Warring States period. As for Garp's figure, he didn't know where he flew to after being punched by Sengoku. Garp, you old 257 bastard. Go catch more pirates when you have time. 5. After roaring at the human-shaped big hole, the Warring States period slowly calmed down. Sitting in his exclusive chair again, Warring States picked up the phone worm beside him and dialed a number to go out. Blue, blue, blue as the phone worm began to dial. The crane in North Blue received a call from the Warring States period. Click, Warring States, what's the matter? As the crane's voice sounded, Sengoku said, "Tsuru, the five elders have the latest order." On the other side of the phone bug, he was sitting in his office and couldn't help but stun slightly. What order? Is it about North Blue? In this regard, Sengoku nodded lightly. Yes, according to the news from the CPO, the surgical fruit called the Ultimate Fruit appeared in North Blue. Also, it was Dies Barreros, the marine trader, who got the fruit of the operation. The other party contacted Doflamingo as an intermediary, and Doflamingo approached the five elders. Now, the five elders have ordered our marine's pursuit of Doflamingo to stop for now. Trade the fruit of the surgery first, and go after Doflamingo after the deal. Tsuru, you were in North Blue, so I'll leave this to you. See if you can contact Diaz Barreros directly, and if you can't, determine the location of the deal. As for the rest, there will be a CPO member who will go to North Blue to hand over with you. 39. After listening to the words of the Warring States period, a ray of light flashed in Crane's eyes. I didn't expect that Doflamingo would be able to receive this intermediary task under my pursuit. 5. Looks like I'm not chasing hard enough. 35. I know, I'll make arrangements. When the Warring States heard the words, he immediately smiled with relief. That's good. Afterwards, the two hung up the phone, and Sengoku once again threw himself into the endless files. And the crane far away in North Blue began to give the latest orders to the soldiers on the warship. Just as the world government, Marine, the Barreros pirates, and the Don Quixote family started operations around the fruit of the surgery. EC did not know that the fruit of the operation had appeared in North Blue. After all, the secrets of the fruits of surgery are well preserved. This can be seen from the original text. In the original work, these forces were the only ones surrounding the fruits of the operation. If it weren't for Razanani to steal the fruit of the operation and give Luo to eat, perhaps the fruit of the operation in the original work has already been obtained by the world government or Doflamingo. In the original book, both world government and Doflamingo want to get the fruit of the operation. What I want is the ultimate ability after awakening of the fruit of surgery, the surgery of agelessness. Therefore, Doflamingo secretly changed his mind in the original work. However, everything was cut off by Rosanani, and Rosanani ate the fruit of the operation. And now, without anyone knowing, there is also EC, a force that is also coveting the fruits of surgery. At this time, EC was still not clear about the fruit of the operation. After all, the intelligence department of the kingdom could not infiltrate so quickly. Although I had thought about infiltrating the various pirates, unfortunately, this pirate group has been too low-key and never had time to infiltrate. Mignon Island, among the mountains. At this time, under the leadership of Shadhang, EC also came to the cave where Monet and Shadhang lived for 4 years. Sister, looking at Monet, who was busy, Xiatang trotted and rushed up. Behind him, EC also walked into the cave. Looking at what Monet was packing, before Monet could speak, EC shook his head and said, "Monet, these things don't need to be packed." 35. You can see that I can give you so many materials at will, so there will be no shortage of materials. 99. You only need to bring your valuables and sugar, and you don't need to bring other sundries. After hearing EC's words, Monet's expression was slightly startled, and only now did he react. For a moment, a slightly embarrassed rosy color appeared on Monet's face. Monet was too excited for a while and thought it was a new round of moving. So, Monet just returned here to take everything away. Hearing EC's words now, Monet immediately reacted. Afterwards, Monet silently put down a small package that had already been packed in his hand. Halala, as the package was spread out, all the contents inside were scattered. EC turned his head to look and immediately raised his brows slightly. I didn't expect you to have 2 devil fruits here. It seems that I was careless." EC was also stunned when he looked at the 2 fruits with the tang grass spiral pattern that rolled all the way to his feet. Devil fruit. Aside, Monet looked at the 2 strange fruits EC bent down to pick up and couldn't help but ask softly, "Sir, was a devil fruit? These 2 fruits were picked up by Xiatang and I at the beach. Is this the devil fruit you're talking about, my lord?" "I originally planned to wait until when I was hungry and then take sugar and sugar to satisfy my hunger." 39. Hearing this, EC smiled lightly. The devil fruit is the secret treasure above this sea. Each devil fruit contains a unique magical power. However, normally, a person can only eat 1 devil fruit, and if he eats 1 more, he will explode and die. Furthermore, after eating the devil fruit, it will have the side effect of being afraid of seawater and sea stone, which means that it will become a landlubber that cannot swim. Even if you can swim in the sea before you eat the devil fruit, you can't touch the sea after you eat the devil fruit. As long as they fall into the sea, the devil fruit person will be completely powerless until they fall into the sea and drown. 39. After hearing EC's words, Monet couldn't help shivering. Before, Monet thought that if he was really hungry, he would first try the poison and taste the taste of 2 fruits. If it is non-toxic, Monet will share the sugar with each other and eat 1 by 1 to satisfy his hunger. However, Monet felt very fortunate after hearing that EC said that if he ate 2 of them, it would explode. I am glad that I and Xiatang are not exhausted. And I am also glad that I and Xiatang can meet a good person like EC. EC didn't know what Monet thought. At this moment, EC put 2 devil fruits into the king's treasure, and then used the noble phantasm embryo to fuse with them. Not long after, when EC took out the 2 devil fruits again, the images of the 2 devil fruits also turned into golden colors. And EC also knew what the power of the devil fruit after the 2 noble phantasms in his hand was transformed. Noble phantasm, snow fruit, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After eating, the body can be elementalized, and the ability to control frost, snow, and blizzard can be obtained without any side effects. Noble phantasm, childlike fruit, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After eating, you can get the ability to turn into a toy, and the touched creature will become the toy model you think in your mind. And all the memories of other people in the world about him will disappear completely, and you can also force it with the toy. make a contract so that it cannot act freely according to thoughts and obey orders, without side effects, not afraid of sea water and sea stone, and the body can grow normally. Looking at the two devil fruits in his hands, EC's heart shook violently. This is something that EC never thought of, that he accepted two maids and even gave him two devil fruits? Not to mention the snow and snow fruit. Although it is the lower rank of the frozen fruit, its ability to control frost and snow is also very powerful. As long as you work hard to develop it, you may be able to use the natural weather to create a frosty and snowy weather that covers the whole world. This range, even frozen fruit, is difficult to achieve. Don't look at the snowflakes. It doesn't seem to have any lethality when they are touched, but when the speed of the blizzard increases, the lethality is very powerful. Snowflakes like sharp blades, coupled with a biting coldness, a blizzard is a kind of natural disaster. As for the second childish fruit, to be honest, EC wanted to eat it by himself. This kind of be 1.0 UG fruit. If he is immune to its damage after being transformed into a noble phantasm, EC will definitely eat it. However, after thinking about it in his mind, EC decided not to eat this devil fruit. First of all, EC doesn't have so much time to develop childlike fruits. And to eat them, EC will only eat those devil fruits that directly enhance their combat power, such as Eudemon's devil fruit, such as thunder fruit, glitter fruit, etc., such as Junjin fruit, Momo fruit, and so on. Just imagine that if you have the power of multiple Eudemon's devil fruits on your body will become more powerful than you can imagine, and your physical strength will be endless. Then, eat a variety of fruits that directly enhance combat power, plus Momo fruit, a fruit that can multiply attacks. At that time, even if his other devil fruits have not developed to the level of awakening, as long as you use the Momo fruit to multiply, the power will be instantly raised. And this is also the path that EC has planned for himself to become stronger. That's why it has been said before that swordsmanship is only one of EC's fighting abilities. It can even be said that the swordsmanship is just a transition from EC in the current period. In the later stage, countless abilities are added to the body, plus Momo's fruit is multiplied. 2 words to describe it: invincible. Of course, it doesn't say that EC will give up Kendo. After all, as long as the Momo fruit is developed properly, the slashing can also be multiplied. 37. The 2 women who ate the devil fruit, seeing Monet and Sugar's curious appearances. EC stretched out 2 hands and handed them a noble phantasm devil fruit. These 2 devil fruits have been transformed by me. The original side effects of the devil fruit have all been purified by me. 99. Now you can eat one by yourself. With the devil fruit ability, you won't be eliminated by me. Hearing this, Monet didn't say the words he wanted to refuse. Although Monet didn't know EC's identity, but EC could have this kind of means. Presumably his identity was not simple. For the outside world, Monet and Sugar are basically unfamiliar. So, EC is their last pillar for both of them. Monet swallowed the words he wanted to say because he knew this. She doesn't want to be eliminated. She wants to stay by EC's side all the time. Reaching out, Monet picked up the devil fruit in front of him and gently put it into his mouth. The modified devil fruit still tasted very good, so Monet ate it all in one bite. On the side, Xia Tang saw the appearance of his sister and also picked up the devil fruit in front of him and ate it. In an instant, the moment they finished eating the devil fruit, the eyes of the 2 women shone. Well, so amazing. Watching his body turn into tiny snowflakes, Monet couldn't help but sigh. Moreover, after elementalization, Monet also found that he was able to fly. On the side, after Xing Tang figured out his ability, his face suddenly became overjoyed. She is like dolls since she was a child, but she could only weave dolls out of some 22 weeds. Now that he has the ability to turn creatures into toys, Sugar immediately cheers. Sister, sis, I can turn creatures into toys. Also, those toys can understand my orders and execute them on their own. Sugar likes this ability very much. Sugar can't wait to try it now. After the 2 women were excited for a while, they slowly calmed down. Under the leadership of Monet, The two women became more and more respectful towards EC. Even 9-year-old Sugar knows how powerful this magical ability is without weakness, let alone Monet. In this regard, the two women have become more and more respectful to EC. Okay, everything is useless now, so let's get out of here first. Looking at Monet and Sugar, EC smiled and said, "By the way, test your abilities between these snow-capped mountains. There is still time today. I will tell you about some development directions of the ability. Wait until evening, and I will take you back to where I live." 39 Hearing this, Monet and Sugar nodded and agreed. Later, under the leadership of EC, the two women followed EC and left the cave where they lived for 4 years. This time, EC did not go in the direction he came from, but went deeper into the snow-capped mountain. Behind him, Monet and Xiatang followed in step with each other. North Blue, Sardinia. At this time, Marine's fleet is resting in Marine's branch in Sardinia. And the commander-in-chief of this fleet, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Crane, is listening to the adjutant's report. Crane, Vice Admiral, Diaz Barreros do not want to trade with us Marine. Even don't want to see us Marine. 35, there was nothing we could do about it. And after a few attempts, we gave up. Because I was worried that it would be rebellious to Diaz Barreros at this rate, I took the initiative to withdraw. Marine's Intelligence Department and CP Organization's Intelligence Department are not comparable to the Intelligence Department of Helios Kingdom. Therefore, after the Crane received the order from the Warring States period, he quickly found Diaz Barreros and sent someone to contact him. It's just a pity that, although contacted, Diaz Barreros does not trust Marine. Hearing this, he quietly listened to the adjutant's report with a cup of hot tea. After the adjutant finished speaking, Hikai slowly took a sip of his tea and said, "You did nothing wrong in your decision. We really can't keep harassing Point 35. Otherwise, if Diaz Barreros goes back, the 5 elders will be blamed." Although, even Diaz Barreros backtracked, and we were able to kill him. However, the devil fruit in his hand may not be available. Therefore, all uneasy factors must be vigilant. 99. Okay, I will tell Warring States about this matter. You go down first. Hearing his words, the adjutant hurriedly left here. Blue, blue, blue. When the adjutant left, Crane took out the phone bug and called the Warring States period. Click, who is Masamoxi? The phone worm was connected, and the voice of the Warring States came out. "It's me, Crane." Hearing this, he replied softly, "Oh, Suru? Are you calling now because the mission is complete?" After hearing the Crane's voice, the Warring States suddenly looked happy. He also thought that the Crane had completed the task that he had given to the front line not long ago. No, the mission failed. Unexpectedly, the words of the Crane made the Warring States slightly stunned, and he did not respond for a while. Fail? Sengoku was very puzzled. Why did it fail? Could it be that no one could be found? But it's not right. The Intelligence Department has always been paying attention to the traces of the various pirates. Yes, failed. In this regard, the Crane's expression is very calm. Diaz Barreros did not want to contact us Marine. He didn't even see the people he sent out, and he didn't intend to have any interaction with Marine at all. It now seems that there is nothing we can do on the Marine side. 99. After all, you can't use force. The fruit of the operation is very important. I'm afraid that if you use force, there will be an accident. Right now, the best thing to do is to wait for Doflamingo's call. Doflamingo is an intermediary for Diaz Barreros, so the two of them can definitely make a deal. All we Marine can do now is get Pele ready and wait for Doflamingo to say where to trade. Hearing this, on the other side of the phone bug, Warring States' brows furrowed tightly. Is this the only way? Damn it, in the end, you have to rely on a pirate to be the intermediary. Hearing this, the tone was also a little helpless. This is something that can't be helped. After all, Diaz Barreros doesn't want to have contact with us Marine. So, just wait for now. I will stop to Sardinia to rest. 35. You will definitely be told a few words by the 5 elders in the Warring States period, but the 5 elders will definitely tell you the trading location. When the time comes, you inform me that my side will set sail directly from Sardinia. In this regard, the Warring States can only helplessly agree. After hanging up the phone, Warring Stateside and put himself into the correction of the document again. As for the five elders, warring states did not want to contact them. After all, if they contacted them now, they would be scolded. Might as well wait for the five elders to get the trade location. They will contact themselves. At that time, I will be able to receive less scolding, and even because of the urgency of time, that scolding will not last long. Well, for being scolded, warring states already has a lot of experience, and even summed up some methods to prevent or avoid being scolded. North Blue, home of the Don Quixote family. At this moment, in the family residence, Doflamingo has just ended the call with Diaz Barreros. Putting down the phone bug, Doflamingo burst into laughter. Sigh, the fruit of the operation. A hand rested beside the throne to support his head, and the corner of Doflamingo's mouth couldn't help but draw an evil smile. Speaking of which, I want it to sigh. Reminds me of the ageless operation of the fruit of 257 operation and the rumors I heard in Mariehua when I was a child. Doflamingo's eyes flashed greedily under his glasses. Hey, hee Dover, this is what the world government wants aside. Tory Pole sucked his snot and said, shaking his head. But if the fruit of the operation is fake, then that's another story. Hearing this, Doflamingo couldn't help being shocked. Sigh. Tory Pole still has your way. Indeed, if it's fake, that's another story. And only we can get in touch with Diaz Barreros. Tell him to take a few pictures as evidence for the world government. I believe he will be very happy. Tory Pole heard Doflamingo's words and said with a wicked smile, Hey, it's true, with photos and the initiative of our master transaction. The time of the transaction can be slightly shifted. 99, hey hee. During this period, it should be enough to make a fake. Hearing Torpal's words, Doflamingo also made up his mind. That's up to you, Tory Pole. Hearing this, Tory Pole shook his long, sticky snot and agreed. Hey, wait for my good news. After speaking, Tory Pole turned and left here. Watching Tory Pole leave, Doflamingo looked out the window. Bobo, Marine has not pursued for a while. Is it because of the fruit of the surgery? So, why did Marine have such an accurate sailing route for the Don Quixote family before? Whispering, Doflamingo's face slowly took on a murderous look. Traitors, all be damned. Is that you? Hopefully it's a wrong feeling on my part. Razanani, I'm the only family in the true sense of yours, cha. 38, Monet and Sugar for the first test ability, North Blue, Mignon Island. EC walked among the mountains with Monet and Sugar. Monet, yours is a nature-type snow fruit, so you can elementalize it. Looking at the snowflakes falling from the sky, EC turned to Monet and said, I'm here to make it clear to you that elementalization is not invincible. Although I have eliminated the side effects of devil fruits, there are still other abilities in this world that can attack you. 5. For example, the ability of a bug like sugar or the attack of other elements. And finally, the armed color Haki. Especially the last armed color Haki. Not only you, but also the sugar you have to pay more attention to. Hearing EC's words, Monet nodded slightly. Sir, what is an armed Haki? Hearing this, EC stopped his steps with a slight smile, turned around and faced the two girls. This is the armed color Haki. As he spoke, he stretched out his left hand. Under the gaze of Monet and Sugar, EC's hand turned black silently. Hey, it's getting dark. Seeing this scene, Xiatang's small mouth opened slightly, feeling very magical. Monet, you elementalize it and feel it for yourself. Without the exclamation of Sugar, EC gestured to Monet for elementalization first. Seeing this, Monet did not hesitate at all, and his body suddenly merged with the surrounding snow. After EC's observation, Haki felt Monet's breath. He flicked his left hand to the side. Boom! With a soft sound, Monet's elemental body was directly hit by EC's palm and flew out. Fortunately, EC didn't use much force, so Monet quickly stabilized his body after flying in the air. Seeing that Monet was able to respond quickly, EC nodded slightly. It seemed that Monet's fighting talent was still very good. This is the armed color Haki. When Monet came back to him, EC continued to speak. Although the armed Haki can invalidate your devil fruit ability, he can catch you, and he can hit you directly with me just now. Besides that, Haki's ability is not only limited to covering my body, but also a kind of external skill. After speaking, EC punched an ice rock not far away. Click, click, click as a black Haki flashed away. The ice stone 3 meters away burst open. Seeing no, this is Haki's outside skills. So, even if you are elementalized, you can always attack the enemy from a distance. But you can't let your guard down either. 35 looking at the cracked ice stone. Monet's expression suddenly became extremely serious. He nodded heavily. Monet understood the meaning of EC's words. Seeing this, EC smiled lightly, and then continued to teach the two girls the knowledge of Haki. Armed Haki, in addition to the two techniques I just showed, there are other techniques, such as covering and internal destruction. 5. Armed color Haki is just a special aura after all. Everyone has this kind of thing. Armed color Haki. Pay attention to the amount of Haki and the strength of Haki. Low-level armed Haki's Haki volume and Haki strength are definitely not comparable to intermediate, high-level, or even top-level armed Haki. In the skills of the armed color Haki, there are 4 types of covering: winding, external release, and internal destruction. Of course, if the armed Haki can break through the top, then maybe there are other skills. One thing you need to pay attention to is that the level of the armed Haki does not represent the skill of the armed Haki. It doesn't mean that when your armed Haki reaches the intermediate level, you can automatically master the winding skills, and when you reach the advanced level, you can automatically master the external skills. This is impossible. The upgrade of the armed Haki only increases the strength and quantity of Haki. Armed sex skills need to be cultivated and mastered by yourself. You must keep this in mind. 5. Hearing this, Monet and Sugar nodded in understanding. Seeing this, EC didn't blame the two girls. Now, EC is just trying to popularize with the two girls first. The real teaching must come after dawn settles down. Armed color Haki probably spread here first. Then, now about the other Haki. Haki is divided into 3 categories. In addition to the armed color Haki, just now, there are observation Haki and Conqueror's Haki. If you learn observation Haki well, you can even do active elementalization to avoid the enemy's armed Haki attack. And observation Haki is also an innate ability of human beings. Standing on the snow, EC spent more than 10 minutes to popularize Monet and Sugar and personally experience Conqueror's Haki. Then, after popularizing Haki, EC took the two girls and walked towards the depths of the mountains again. On the way, EC also talked about the development direction of snow fruit and fun fruit. Roar! Among the mountains, at this time, EC relied on observation Haki's investigation. With Monet and Sugar, they came to a snow tiger's lair. As the 3 approached, a roar sounded, followed by 3 snow tigers, 5 meters tall and 3 meters tall, roaring out of the nest. Well, so scary. Looking at the 3 snow tigers in front of him, Xiatang shivered and hid behind EC. In this regard, EC forced to pull the Sugar down in front of him with some helplessness. Stand here for me. You're already capable. Touch them. They will become toys. What are you afraid of? Hearing this, Xiatang's body froze slightly, and he patted his little head and reacted. Yes, I forgot all of a sudden. What an idiot. Hearing this, EC stretched out his fingers in a funny way and tapped Sugar's head. Ouch! EC gave him a knock, and Xiatang glanced at EC angrily while covering his little head. Humph! With a light snort, Xiatang, who didn't dare to say anything, turned his head and didn't want to see EC's figure. Seeing this, EC couldn't help but laugh. However, Xiatang has this kind of performance now, and it can be seen that she has gradually changed a little. Shaking his head, EC said seriously to Monet, who was standing beside him. Monet, you can go ahead and defeat them. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Don't be afraid. According to the fruit development ideas I just told you, let's go to the actual combat now. It happens to be snowing lightly, and borrowing the power of nature can also reduce your physical expenditure. 99 hearing this, Monet nodded solemnly and slowly walked towards the 3 snow tigers. Although it was the first time to face a beast, Monet didn't have the slightest fear in his heart. Perhaps it is because of the confidence that comes from gaining the ability. Maybe it's because of EC's words just now. In short, Monet really did not have the slightest fear or worry in the face of the intimidation of the three snow tigers. Roar! The three snow tigers looked at Monet, who was in front of him. Although they had never seen such a human being, the three snow tigers still bowed and roared at Monet after feeling the danger. Snow-covered. As he walked forward slowly, Monet stretched out his hand and slammed into the surrounding snow. Afterwards, a large amount of snow fell to the three snow tigers under Monet's control. Immediately, a biting cold air emerged from the snowflakes and penetrated into the bodies of the three snow tigers. The sudden coldness made the bodies of the three snow tigers stiffen. However, the thick fur and the heat radiated from the body made the three snow tigers recover in a blink of an eye. In an instant, when the three snow tigers recovered their bodies, their eyes flashed bloodthirsty. A roar sounded, and the three snow tigers who cooperated with each other attacked Monet from different directions. Swish, swish, bang, the fighting instinct made the three snow tigers tacitly sprint towards Monet from different directions. However, Monet, who can elementalize, doesn't need to avoid these three snow tigers who can't be armed with Haki. As Monet's body turned into endless snowflakes, the three snow tigers slammed through Monet's figure and slammed into each other's heads fiercely. Snowflakes were flying, and Monet appeared not far from the three snow tigers, after seeing the snow tigers who were dizzy because of the violent collision with each other. Monet's thoughts moved, pulling a large number of snowflakes to cover and wrap around the feet of the snow tigers. Before Monet, he thought of directly relying on the snowflakes to completely wrap the snow tigers and freeze them. However, the snow tiger's thick fur and the heat radiated from the body broke Monet's thoughts. Of course, this is also because Monet has just eaten the devil fruit, and the development of the fruit's ability is not in place. With the lessons learned, Monet no longer wanted to cover the whole body of the snow tigers. Instead, he chose to control a large amount of snow covered and wrapped around the four tiger feet of the snow tigers. Snow and cold. Ka soon. While the snow tigers were dizzy, a large number of snowflakes covered and wrapped around the feet of the snow tigers. Immediately afterwards, with the sound of freezing, the snowflakes melted into a hint of cold air. Under Monet's control, the legs of the three snow tigers were frozen in place by the ice. Roar! Ho! Feeling that their tiger feet could not move, the three snow tigers suddenly became irritable. Sun Han's breath made the dizzy heads of the three snow tigers suddenly wake up. However, what followed was the fear of finding that his body could not move. To Li Zhao, the roaring snow tigers struggled hard, trying to break free from the shackles of the ice. Unfortunately, Monet on the side kept manipulating snowflakes from all around for reinforcement, making the three snow tigers completely unable to break free. Sugars, go try them. Turn them into toys. Seeing this, EC patted Tang Tang's head and pointed at the snow tigers who were imprisoned in place. Gudong difficulty swallowing saliva, although Sugar is still a little scared. However, seeing his sister Monet's encouraging look, Xiaotang also stepped forward with courage. However, Xiaotang wisely did not touch the heads of the three snow tigers, and then circled behind the three snow tigers in turn. With a shimmer of light, the little hand patted the buttocks of the three snow tigers one after another. Then, puff puff, three smog appeared, and then three 1-meter-sized tiger-shaped toys were imprinted into the eyes of the three of them. Hee hee, this is a tiger toy. Seeing the success of turning three snow tigers into three tiger-shaped toys, Xiaotang's heart was truly relieved. From now on, you must obey my orders. Now, make me smaller and follow me obediently to protect me. Ho 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 sentence. The three tiger toys had anger and unwillingness on their faces, but they had to obey Xia Tang's orders. The three tiger toys began to get smaller and eventually became the size of a palm and came to Sugar's side. Although the face of the tiger toy is full of anger and unwillingness, the body faithfully executes the orders of the Sugar. 39 Return of Dawn. And why didn't I forget about the three snow tigers? On the side, Monet looked at the Sugar who ordered the 3 tiger toys and couldn't help but feel a little curious. After all, EC said before that after turning into a toy, everyone else will automatically erase the related memory of the toy itself. Hee, elder sister, of course I control it. Hearing this, Xiatang trotted to Monet's side and hugged Monet's thigh. I also just discovered that I can freely control whether the existence traces of the toy itself need to be amnesticized, and I just subconsciously chose not to eliminate the traces of the toy itself. 99. So, sister, you will find that you still remember the 3 snow tigers. Oh! Hearing Xiatang's words, even EC was surprised. Unexpectedly, the childlike fruit after the noble phantasm can still freely control whether the traces of existence are eliminated. In this way, even if Sugar turns the enemy into a toy, as long as they choose not to eliminate the traces of existence, others will still be able to remember the enemy turned into a toy. Big sister. Now Sugar can fight too. Holding Monet's long legs, Xiatang raised his head and looked at Monet with a smile. Hearing this, Monet smiled lightly, pulled up Sugar's little hand, and walked back to EC's side. Sir, fortunately not humiliated. Looking at the 2 girls, EC also nodded in relief. You too, well done. 35 now. Sugar also has the ability to fight. Next, the 2 of you will start sweeping from here. Cooperating with each other can not only increase your combat experience, but also allow Sugar to get a lot of toys. Yeah. Hearing this, Monet replied softly. Sugar will soon have a lot of toys. It's great. Sugar was also very happy when she heard this. Next, EC followed behind Monet and Xiatang, watching the 2 girls grow up step by step. When they are tired, EC will take out food to replenish their energy. Then, after resting for a while, the 2 women stepped on the 257 road again. As a result, in the entire mountains, all kinds of roars were heard endlessly, resounding throughout the day. It wasn't until evening, when the sun went down, that EC stopped the 2 girls from moving. Okay, next, come back with me. Reaching out and patted it, interrupting the 2 women who wanted to start the sweep again, EC stepped forward and stopped. At this time, after an afternoon of fighting, Monet's temperament also changed a little, and his golden eyes also became extremely shining. As for the Sugar, hundreds of beast toys, tiger toys, giant elephant toys, and bear toys were harvested in one afternoon. At this moment, around the Sugar, hundreds of palm-sized toys are guarding the Sugar. After being turned into toys, even if these toys shrink, their strength will not change. Even because of its small body, its speed has become more agile and flexible. After hearing EC's words, Monet and Xiatang also stopped their actions. Okay, my lord. Holding Sugar's little hand, Monet followed EC and walked towards the seaside. Behind the 3, there are hundreds of beast toys hulala. By the sea on the dawn. At this time, it was extremely lively on the dawn, because Dylan and others who had left Dawn since entering North Blue boarded the deck of Dawn again today 1 month later. Around the Dawn, there are several small ships connected with the chains of the Dawn. When EC returned to Dawn with Monet, Sugar, and hundreds of beast toys, Dylan, Eli, Aldo, and others, along with a group of sailors and maids, hurriedly greeted them. I have seen, Your Highness, although I wonder what happened to the 2 girls behind EC and those toys. However, in front of EC, everyone did not dare to ask more questions. Behind them, Monet and Sugar could not help but be slightly surprised when they heard Dylan and others calling EC. EC, on the other hand, glanced at Dylan and the others and nodded happily. As long as you don't have an accident, get up. Dylan, Eli, and the others were moved and said in unison, Thank you, Your Highness, for your concern. Shaking his head, EC waved helplessly. Okay, I've said it many times, you don't need so much etiquette when you go out. Come and introduce 2 new members to you. 55 hearing this, everyone on the deck looked over curiously. Seeing this, EC pointed to Monet and Sugar and said, This is called Monet, this is called Sugar. As for these toys, it's because of the power of Sugar. From now on, the 2 of them will be my personal maids. After a brief introduction to Monet and Sugar, EC instructed the maid headed on the deck. Lena, take them down for training and teaching, and introduce our situation by the way. Lena, the daughter of Linda, the chief maid of the palace, also went out to sea with EC this time. At this time, Lena hurriedly stepped forward after hearing EC's order and responded. Please rest assured, Your Highness, Lena will handle it herself. 35, yeah. Nodding lightly, EC smiled slightly and said, Then, let's disband and do whatever you want. Yes, Your Highness. Hearing this, everyone on the deck slowly dispersed. Monet and Xiatang were also taken away by Lena. As for those beast toys, they were kept in various places on the Dawn. After all, with these little toys, Dawn is a lot more lively. On the deck, after everyone left, only EC and Dylan were left. Your Highness. At this point, Dylan stepped forward and started reporting to EC. This month, according to His Highness's order, a large number of swordsmen's swords have been collected, adding up to a total of 165 swords. Because of His Highness's orders, we concealed our identities when we collected the saber. In addition to the harvest of the saber, more than 50 North Blue scientists also agreed to go to the kingdom. Because the kingdom is willing to provide research materials and research funds, these scientists have agreed to join the kingdom's scientific research department. 99. Besides, regarding the devil fruit, please forgive me, Your Highness. We haven't found any news about devil fruit and devil fruit abilities this month. Listening to Dylan's report, EC nodded slightly. Well done. The devil fruit thing is luck, so you don't need to blame yourself. Although the world is big, the rules of this world are amazing, and most of the devil fruit kba will actually appear somewhere in the Grand Line. There are very few devil fruits in the 4 seas, so it is not your fault. I didn't expect that Saber and scientists could have so much gain. Where are those sabers and scientists now? Hearing this, Dylan replied quickly. His Royal Highness, the swords have been placed in your bedroom by the maids. Those scientists are now in Dawn's backup laboratory, and since Your Highness, you have backed up files about satellites, data, signals, and mobile phones in a laboratory. Those scientists have been coming together to discuss and study since the discovery. Point 35. EC couldn't help but froze for a moment, but did not expect these scientists to act on their own. In this way, after the North Blue has returned to the Grand Line, these scientists will have to be transported back to the kingdom as soon as possible. After all, Dawn's equipment is relatively simple compared to the kingdom, and it is best to let them collide with the scientists of the Scientific Research Department. The kingdom's current national and military power is slowly improving, and the strength of itself and its subordinates is also constantly breaking through. At least, before the founding of the country, the kingdom must be able to have the power to protect itself. In this world with such a high personal force value, a country's development cannot be completely the same as in the previous life. The countries in the previous life were basically doing their best to develop science and technology, but that was because the personal force of the previous life was not excessively powerful. In this pirate world, it is impossible to reach the peak if it is only to develop technology. P.S. Unless this country is all black technology that can destroy the island, destroy the country, and even destroy the world. The Kingdom of Germa 66, the country ruled by the Vinsmokes, is the most obvious example. The current patriarch of the Vinsmoke family, Vinsmoke Judge, is a scientist who believes in science. It is a pity that even his scientific research ability can be ranked first in the entire pirate world. However, for the Kingdom of Germa, no matter how strong the technology is, as long as there is no absolute deterrent, it is useless. Therefore, the Kingdom of Germa just ruled the North Blue for 66 days and was overturned, and now it has become a nominal kingdom without real land. Even Marine only needs to send an admiral-level powerhouse to easily wipe out the Vinsmoke family. Therefore, in this world, EC prepares a two-pronged approach, and the personal strength of the people and the army needs to be improved. However, the ability of science and technology also needs to be improved. Science and technology can bring convenience to the inside of the country, and it can also bring deterrence to the forces outside the country. If Helios Kingdom can build a nuclear bomb, then for the entire pirate world, no one dares to provoke Helios Kingdom easily, because no one knows if the kingdom of Helios is provoked, it will perish with the world. Shaking his head, EC retracted his divergent thoughts and walked slowly towards the backup laboratory. Go see those scientists and let them know for whom they're working point 35. As for those sabers, just put them in my bedroom and I'll deal with them later. Hearing this, Dylan and others hurriedly followed behind EC. On the other hand, Monet and Sugar were led by Lena to the place where the maids lived. With Lena's introduction, the two women also had a brief understanding of EC's identity and background, as well as everyone on board. Afterwards, Lena explained the next activities to the two girls. Because Monet and Shatang became EC's maids halfway through and even designated them as personal maids. Therefore, Lena will teach the two girls in person and tell the self-cultivation and behavior of a maid. 40 Doflamingos planned the fleeting years are like water. The years are like songs, and time always passes quietly, inadvertently. Before I knew it, a month and a half passed in a flash. Within a month and a half, Monet and Shatang became qualified maids under Lena's guidance. After Lena personally taught for a month, Monet and Shatang officially took up their posts and became EC's personal maids. After half a month of practice, Monet and Sugar are very satisfied with their current life. Being able to eat and wear warm clothes, being able to learn knowledge, being able to meet new friends. All of these are dreams that the two women had never dreamed of before. Now, this unrealistic dream has actually come true during this period of time. In the past month and a half, Dylan and the others have made 2 round trips to the Dawn. Now, some famous swordsmen known to the entire North Blue have been robbed of their swords by Dylan and others. Unfortunately, Dylan and the others did not find any news about Devil Fruit. Even go to the Marine branch to receive the North Blue ability bounty, order to find those ability pirates in person, have found nothing. When they went to the station of those capable pirates, they either left or were directly killed. After such a month and a half, it was astonishing that a Devil Fruit or even a Devil Fruit person had not gained anything. When EC found out about this, he couldn't help but be absolutely sure that although he was a transmigrator, he definitely didn't have the so-called aura of the protagonist. After all, if you can't do what you want, you are definitely not the protagonist. Fortunately, within a month and a half, there was no other harvest. However, after obtaining a large number of swordsman's swords twice, EC has truly stepped into the realm of the great swordsman. Those swordsman's sabers were all transformed into brand new noble phantasms by EC. Each new noble phantasm contains a genre of swordsmanship. During this period of time, EC did not go fishing in Snow Mountain Lake anymore, but learned new swordsmanship every day. Before that, EC already had sea burial swordsmanship and Pluton swordsmanship as a foundation. After the two kinds of swordsmanship are fully integrated, it is extremely fast when comprehending the swordsmanship style of the North Blue swordsman. After more than 300 kinds of swordsmanship styles were comprehended and mastered by EC, EC's swordsmanship naturally stepped into the realm of great swordsmen. There is no so-called hard-edgedness and no so-called momentum explosion. Everything seems to be very natural. The wind was smooth and the water was very calm, without the slightest turbulence. In the middle of the night, EC, who was meditating, completed the breakthrough from Jianhao to Dajianhao. Treasure of the King, Helios EC, 9 years old, combat strength, S, elite vice admiral level, physical fitness, an ordinary vice admiral grade, swordsmanship low level great swordsman, ultimate swordsmanship / ultimate swordsmanship instant / Conqueror's Haki advanced, shock, intimidate, armed color Haki advanced, hardened, twisted, exposed observation Haki advanced, large range detection, breath lock, danger warning, devil fruit, vampire fruit advanced, speed, vampire, self-healing, bat wing, thousands of bats, noble phantasm, big quick sword sea burial, burning sea sword, Pluton sword, North Blue swordsman saber, more than 300 swordsmanship styles, dung fruit, 2-color Haki training manual, Basic Swordsmanship Training Manual, ID card, personal made, Monet, snow fruit, sugar, children's fruit. Now, EC's combat power has entered the level of the elite Vice Admiral, and his own Conqueror's Haki broke through to the advanced level after integrating the sharpness of Kendo. At this moment, on the foredeck of Dawn, Monet was reclining on a beach chair to massage EC. EC, on the other hand, leaned back on Monet's arms, with Monet's two balls on the back of his head, squinting and enjoying Monet's massage service. On the other hand, Sugar is eating the grapes and happily directing the toys of life on the ship to play. For 9-year-old Sugar, EC chose to stock up. After all, Monet served EC very comfortably. As for Sugar, in addition to occasionally pouring tea and water, he was more about developing his childlike fruit ability. EC has high hopes for the fruit of childishness. After all, EC also wanted to imitate Doflamingo's actions in the original book from his previous life. After the founding of the country, the kingdom of Helios will definitely be secretly invaded by a large number of pirates and various forces. At that point, it would be a waste to just kill them all. It is better to turn all those people into toys and become the toy slaves at the bottom of the entire kingdom. Therefore, what Xingtang needs to do now is to ensure that the toy cannot return to its original appearance, even if he passes out of a coma. In this, it takes Sugar to spend a lot of time to develop childlike fruit. Therefore, EC basically belongs to the state of stocking Sugar for Sugar, and will not let Sugar serve him all the time, every day. After a month and a half of recuperation, under the action of a lot of nutrition, Monet and Sugar's bodies were completely restored to health. Especially Monet, who was 17 years old after this period of recuperation. The hair became lustrous and supple, and the body became plump from thinness at the beginning. Especially the 2 round balls, which may have received the blessing of nutrition, have actually undergone secondary growth, and the whole is extremely plump but not overly exaggerated. In addition, Monet and Xiatang were also tempering and developing their devil fruit abilities during this period. Monet combat strength, F+, major level, ability, snow fruit granulated sugar, combat strength, G lieutenant level, ability, childlike fruit toys, tiger toys x 120, giant elephant toys x 30, bear toys x 50, snow leopard toys x 100 overall. Not much progress has been made in a month and a half. After all, during this period of time, the two have to study with Lina, and the other time is the free time at their disposal. However, although the strength of the two did not change much, the number of sugar toys did increase slightly. Under the instruction of EC, members of the Apocalypse team occasionally go hunting in the depths of the mountains with Sugar. Although it snows all year round on Mignon Island, there are a variety of animals and plants in the depths of the icebergs. There, it was a complete wilderness, a place without any trace of human beings. Therefore, there live a large number of characteristic creatures. As for the Sugar, it was during this time that he obtained some beast toys again. Now, there are a total of 300 beast toys in total. Seeking Flowers .0 in the end, it was EC who stopped Sugar after he noticed that there were a little too many toys on the Dawn. Although those beasts have become toys, they still need to eat. After all, they are essentially life. After turning into a toy, eating is equivalent to maintaining the toy. Not only that, EC also let the people from Apocalypse Squad teach Sugar to train the toy core of the beasts after seeing the toy core. A well-trained regiment is always much better than a separate toy. Therefore, in the daily life of Sugar, there are more training toys. North Blue, home of the Don Quixote family. After a month and a half, Tori Pole approached Doflamingo with a red heart-shaped fruit with a spiral pattern. Hey, Dover, the production is successful. The palm of one hand dragged the pirated surgical fruit and stretched it out in front of Doflamingo. Tori Pole shook his thick snot and said with a smile, Hey. Reaching out his hand to pick up the pirated surgical fruit at this moment, Doflamingo couldn't help but take a serious look. It's exactly the same as the result of the surgery in the photo. Well done, Tori Pole. 99 sigh. Although this pirated surgical fruit will definitely not be able to hide from those 5 old guys. 39. However, when Diaz Barreros died, everything was dead. The fruit of the operation I want it too. Sitting on the throne of the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo burst into laughter. Hey, hee Dover, is the plan about to start? When Doflamingo's laughter subsided, Torpal's voice sounded again. No, no, no. That's of course. After all, the five immortals are impatient to wait. You go and inform Diaz Barreros that the transaction money is ready, and let him go to Mignon Island and wait. As for me, I went to inform my dear brother, and I was boiling. After all, he has been outside for a long time, and it is time to come back. Hearing this, Tory Pole narrowed his eyes slightly, glanced at Doflamingo, and whispered cautiously, Dover, aren't you suspicious of him? Sigh, sigh, sigh. Hearing Torpal's words, Doflamingo's eyes flashed with light. Of course, I do have some doubts about him, but isn't this something that hasn't been confirmed yet? And this time, isn't an opportunity? Tory Pole was slightly taken aback when he heard the words. So, Dover, you want to? Boil. Doflamingo waved his hand. Okay, you should contact Diaz Barreros first. 5. As for the rest, you don't need to worry about it. I'll take care of it. 35. Okay. Opening his mouth, Tory Pole nodded his head, turned and left here. Sigh, sigh, sigh. My dear brother, I hope you won't disappoint me. Seeing the figure of Tory Pole leaving, Doflamingo couldn't help but mutter to himself. Picking up the phone worm next to him, a string of numbers was dialed, and soon the phone worm rang. Blue, blue, blue 10. 41 Rosanani's Joy North Blue. In an uninhabited sea area, an ultra-small sailboat is slowly drifting. At this moment, on a wooden board on the boat, a figure wearing a black feather coat with a clown makeup on his face sat quietly on it smoking a cheap cigarette. In front of this figure, a little boy with a Madara point hat and an unusually pale skin was curled up in a corner. Luo, on the island you went to this time, although the doctors there couldn't cure you, at least your condition was restrained to a certain extent. Breathing out a cigarette, Luo didn't see the gloomy look on Rosanandi's face under the cover of smoke. However, don't worry, I have received news from another famous doctor. This time, you will definitely be able to cure your lead disease. On the side, after hearing Rosanandi's words, Luo, who was curled up, shook his head faintly. There was no anger on his face, and his face was expressionless, as if he had given up completely. Mr. Corazon, no need, I can feel, I'm reaching my limit. As he spoke, Luo's eyes closed tightly. However, a line of tears still quietly slipped from the corner of Luo's eyes. Luo was born in the country known as the White Town, Provence, received the guidance of his parents who were medical practitioners since childhood, and learned a lot of 257 knowledge of medicine, however, because the world government has deliberately concealed the characteristics of lead that has been developed for a long time. It will emit toxicity and accumulate toxins in the body of the contact for a long time. The inhabitants of Provence, including Ro, suffered from the plumbium disease, which makes the patient and his offspring extremely pale and shortens the lifespan, and even causes the patient to cut off offspring. The residents of Provence, who were kept in the dark at that time, did not realize the danger of the lead mine, and they continued to develop and expand the lead industry. When Luo was 10 years old, after reviewing his medical information once, Luo learned that he had only 3 years and 2 months of life left because of the lead disease. At the same time, most of the Provence residents suffering from lead disease suffered from complications at this time. However, because the world government deliberately ignored it, and neighboring countries misunderstood the lead disease as a terrible infectious disease, quarantine measures were successively imposed on Provence, and even the sick residents of Provence were killed, finally causing Provence to break out a war with neighboring countries for self-defense. That year, a nun Luo knew took the children to flee the country because the soldiers told the nuns that they would let the children go. But Royan's sister Rami was still in the hospital, so she did not leave Provence with the nun. Only after that, the White Town was massacred, the parents who were doctors were shot to death, and the hospital where the sister was located was set on fire. The nun and her companions who were trying to escape from Provence were shot dead by the army, and finally saw the complete destruction of the country. Luo was distraught in a sea of fire, and later he hid in a pile of corpses and escaped across the border. That tragic experience and huge changes made Roger, who was only 10 years old, distorted. Knowing that his life expectancy is only 3 years and 2 months, one thing Luo wants to do is to take revenge on the whole world. After escaping from Fravans, Luo tied his body with bombs and visited Don Quixote da Flamingo by chance. And after that, he joined the pirate group of the Don Quixote family, but secretly planned to destroy everything in front of him. It's just that people are not as good as heaven. Among the Don Quixote family, Luo met Rosinante, and after a series of contacts between the two, Rosinante resolutely took Luo on a journey to find a doctor. Although this difficult journey is very painful, hope and despair are constantly replaced. However, Luo still felt Rosinante's unreserved concern for him. After all, Luo is not a person without feelings. Under Rosinante's care, the relationship and feelings between the two are getting stronger and stronger. Now, Luo can feel that his current body is riddled with holes, and there is no turning point. Therefore, after hearing that Rosinante wanted to continue seeking medical treatment, he refused directly, because Luo did not want to waste Rosinante's time in such a worthless way. Since he is doomed to die, don't get involved with Rosinante. At this time, Rosinante's expression changed immediately after hearing Luo's words. The cigarette in his hand was thrown towards the sea, and the whole person said it loudly. "What are you talking about, you little brat? Are you going to give up now? 99, little devil, cheer me up. I can definitely find someone to cure you. 99. Remember, I won't let you die. You must not die." The excited Rosinante stood up suddenly. "Little devil, you..." Blue, 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 just as Rosinante was about to continue speaking, he was suddenly interrupted by a phone call. With a slight frown, Rosinante couldn't help but look at the location of the phone bug. Rosinante is very clear about his identity, so he must not exceed 5 fingers for people who can directly contact him. After pondering for a while, Rosinante glanced at Luo and decided to finish the phone first. A few steps to the front of the phone bug, Rosinante directly pressed the answer button. Whoa, whoa, whoa. With a strange laughter, Rosinante frowned suddenly. "My dear brother, how has this time been?" Inside the phone bug, Doflamingo's voice came out, reaching the ears of Rosinante and Luo. Aside, curled up Luo paused slightly after hearing Doflamingo's voice. 35 in front of the phone bug. Rosinante was silent for a while, then answered lightly. As for his own business, Rosinante knew he couldn't hide it from Doflamingo. After all, although Doflamingo has not yet entered the Grand Line, the network and intelligence network in North Blue is very amazing, taking Luo everywhere to find a doctor. Even if Rosinante wanted to hide it, he couldn't do it. However, Rosinante didn't want Doflamingo to ask about Luo, so Rosinante gave a flat hum. Sigh, sigh, sigh. On the other side of the phone bug, Doflamingo paused slightly as he sat on his throne. Then, the whole person couldn't help but burst into laughter. Although Doflamingo was smiling, under his glasses, a pair of eyes shone with a strange luster. As expected by Rosinante, Doflamingo also knew the traces of Rosinante and Luo during this period from his own intelligence network. Even there's a wonderful idea in Doflamingo's heart. He suspected that Rosinante was not dumb at all, but Rosinante was very well guarded even on the way with Luo to seek a doctor. So, even if Doflamingo has some doubts, there is no evidence and no solution. However, for this, Doflamingo is not too anxious to know. The priority now is the outcome of the surgery and Rosinante's position. Therefore, Doflamingo directly skipped what he said before and said very bluntly, "This time, there is indeed a task for you. After all, you've been outside for so long, and you need to take over some family affairs again." Hearing this, Rosinante sighed inwardly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Doflamingo's laughter sounded slowly, and soon, the content of the mission passed into Rosinante's ears. Olive Mignon, there's an important deal there. The fruit of surgery, known as the ultimate fruit, appeared in the hands of the marine trader Diaz Barreros. 5. In this time, your task is to first arrive at Mignon Island and hide. 99. I believe that relying on your fruit ability, it is very easy to hide. Sigh, sigh, sigh. The trading time is 3 weeks away. Hopefully you won't miss it. As for the rest, I'll be there to deal with it myself. At this moment, Razanani's heart no longer cares about Doflamingo's mission. The moment he heard the fruit of the operation, Razanani's expression suddenly changed. Extreme ecstasy flashed across Razanani's face. Turning to look at Luo, Razanani's eyes flashed. In his heart, he seemed to have made up his mind. 55 next, Razanani hummed a few times, casually perfunctory Doflamingo, and hung up the phone. When the phone bug fell back into silence, Razanani burst out laughing happily. Ha ha, Luo, you are saved, you are saved. Ha! I didn't expect to get news of the fruit of the operation at this time. Looking at Luo with a blank face, Razanani took a few deep breaths and calmed down his excitement a little. He lowered his head and stared straight into Luo's eyes. Luo, with the fruit of the operation, the lead disease on your body can definitely be cured. You know, the fruit of surgery is called the ultimate fruit. 35, on a demon illustration book I happened to see, the person who eats the fruit of surgery can gain the ability of surgical space. And in that space, he can cut the rest of things at will. As long as you eat the fruit of surgery, you can directly separate the toxic substances in your body in that surgical space. With 1.0 your experience of learning medicine since childhood, you can definitely do this easily. 35 after speaking, Razanani danced happily. Ha! Luo, you are saved. Luo quietly looked at Razanani's figure and did not speak, but a trace of tears slowly accumulated in his eyes. After a long time, Razanani slowly calmed down. After that, Razanani lowered his head and pondered for a while, then walked towards the location of the phone bug again. This time, when he went to steal the fruit of the operation, Razanani knew very well that if he was not careful, he and Luo would both die on the island of Mignon. Therefore, the information about the Don Quixote family that I have collected in my hands needs to be handed over as soon as possible. In addition to being Doflamingo's younger brother, Razanani has other hidden identities. He is also the adopted son of the Warring States period and an undercover agent sent by Marine to the Don Quixote pirates. For a long time, Razanani has been disguised as a mute to collect relevant information in Don Quixote. Even when he was looking for a doctor with Luo, Razanani never revealed that he could speak in front of outsiders. Only when alone with Luo, as is the case now, will Razanani not hide himself. Luo is also well aware of this in his heart, so he has always cooperated with Razanani undercover. 42 conversation between Razanani and Sengoku walking to the phone bug. Razanani's face showed a tangled color, because he hoped that he would get the fruit of the operation and then give it to Luo. However, if I told Marine about this, it would be difficult for Sengoku to protect him by then. He was also a celestial dragon before, and, of course, Doflamingo knew about the fruit of the surgery. It is also because of this that Razanani's face shows a tangled color. However, after glancing at Luo's figure out of the corner of his eyes, Razanani let out a soft breath. The tangled color on his face disappeared, and Razanani made up his mind inwardly. Pick up the phone bug and start dialing a phone number buried deep in memory. Blue Grand Line, Naval Headquarters, Marineford, Admiral Office. At this time, Sengoku was the only one in the Admiral Office who was constantly reviewing documents. Go. Along with some useless documents, they were handed to the goat by Sengoku to be eaten. The number of documents on the desk is also dwindling at a palpable rate. Seeing this, Warring States couldn't help showing a relaxed look on his face. Ta-ta-tau. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps, a figure in a Marine uniform soon appeared at the door of Admiral's office. Gently knocking on the door, the figure dragged a large number of documents into Admiral's office. Sitting in his seat, Sengoku just looked up when he saw someone from the Marine Administration Department came in dragging a large number of documents. Suddenly, Sengoku, who had a relaxed look on his face, suddenly turned black. I was thinking of having some tea and some sunbae to relax, but 22 is, after seeing the pile of documents. Sengoku realized that he was thinking too much before. Report to Warring States Admiral. This is the latest batch of documents. please review it as soon as possible. The Marine from the administration department put the items on the empty table aside and saluted Sengoku. Understood. Waving his hand, the warring states responded helplessly. Seeing this, Marine from the administration department bowed again and turned to leave. Looking at the mountains of documents, warring states also sighed. First, he handed the useless documents to the goats to eat, and the warring states period did not continue to review the documents. The chair moved back slightly, bent down, and took out a pack of Pirate World specialty, Sunbei, from the drawer. Tear a hole in the Sunbei packaging bag. Afterwards, the warring states period slowly began to enjoy it. Blue at this time, warring states, who had only eaten a few mouthfuls, suddenly heard the voice of a phone bug. Quickly biting the Sunbei in his mouth and swallowing it, he picked up the phone bug beside him and said, "Masa Moxie, I'm a millet fruit." With the voice from the phone bug, warring states was slightly startled. "I'm the Shinbei." Looking left and right subconsciously, the warring states whispered back to the phone bug. On the other side, Razanani, who was sitting on the boat, was also slightly relieved after finishing the password signal with Sengoku. "I am Razanani, and I have important information to report." Inside the Admiral office, Sengoku heard Razananti's words. The face that originally wanted to talk about the old gradually became serious. "Razananti, is your side safe?" "Don't worry, I'm above the sea now, absolutely safe." Hearing this, Razanani looked left and right at the boundless sea. "That's good. If you have any important information, let's talk about it now." After hearing Razanani's words, Sengoku nodded in relief. For the Sengoku, Razanani's safety is more important than the information of the Don Quixote family. Since picking up Razanani as a child, the Warring States period has always raised Razanani as a son. The Warring States period, who had no children under his knees, has always been subconsciously regarded as his own son. Even if Razanani hadn't insisted on going undercover with the Don Quixote family, Sengoku would not have let him leave Naval headquarters. Therefore, after confirming that it was Razanani, Sengoku immediately asked him to confirm whether the surrounding area was safe. He believed that Razanani would never lie to him. "I have a large amount of evidence of the Don Quixote family's crimes, as well as members of the Don Quixote family and inside information." After hearing the words of the Warring States period, Razanani picked up the phone bug and started reporting. "Originally, I was going to find an opportunity to hand it over to the Marine branch, and then the Marine branch people would transfer it to Naval headquarters. However, just now, Doflamingo informed me to go to Mignon Island to lurk and monitor, because in 3 weeks' time, Diaz Barreros will trade the fruit of his surgery with Doflamingo in Mignon. At that time, the entire Don Quixote pirates would basically gather there. So, I plan to take this opportunity to take down the entire Don Quixote family in one fell swoop." At this moment, the Warring States period was slightly taken aback when he heard the news of the fruit of the operation. "Wait, Razanani, what did you just say about the fruit of the surgery?" Hearing this, Razanani's hand holding the phone bug couldn't help but tighten slightly. Yes, from the inquiry of the Warring States period, Razanani found out that the fruit of the operation is not so simple. After all, the Warring States period, as an admiral, sits on the Grand Line, and will certainly not be so clear about the situation within North Blue. Well, now the Warring States period has only asked about the fruit of the operation. Clearly, Diaz Barreros and Doflamingo were not the only ones involved in the outcome of the surgery. It is very likely that Naval headquarters and even the world government are paying attention and participating in this matter. At this point, Razananti couldn't help feeling a little fortunate. "Fortunately, I plan to strike first, and before the trading time, the Barreros pirates will definitely land. At that point, Razanani will be able to stealthily use the power of the Fruit of Silence to steal it. As for the Doflamingo and world government after that, Razanani can't control so much. In Razananti's view now, the fruit of the operation is undoubtedly the last straw to save Luo. Razanani, this time, you have to remember that you can't get too close." After hearing that Razanani confirmed that it was the fruit of the operation, Sengoku's expression changed slightly. "The fruit of surgery, that's what the 5 elders have to get. 5 elders even offered sky-high prices for this. 35. And Doflamingo was an intermediary that Diaz Barreros found himself. In this matter, there is the participation of the world government. You must not get involved. You're lurking on Mignon Island. The crane is in North Blue, and she'll pick you up. Hearing this, Rosinante was silent for a while, and then answered, I see. Although the mouth agreed, but Rosinante's eyes showed a firm will. Glancing at Luo's figure, Rosinante and Sengoku had a few more conversations before hanging up the phone bug. Sorry, the hand holding the phone bug dropped slightly, and Rosinante looked up at the white clouds. In a trance, the face of the Warring States period appeared above the clouds. Now to Mignon Island. 35, standing up. Rosinante went to control the direction of the boat and started sailing in the direction of Mignon Island. On the other hand, after hanging up with Rosinante, Sengoku called the crane in North Blue. Then, after reporting the fruit of the operation to the 5 elders, Sengoku sat quietly in his seat and frowned in thought. During the subsequent conversation with Rosinante, Sengoku always felt that there was something wrong with Rosinante's tone, as if he was hiding something from himself. However, after thinking about it, Warring States' hair has been scratched more than a dozen times, and he still hasn't come up with anything useful. North Blue, Mignon Island. Snowflakes began to fall from the sky, and the cold air began to spread across the island. On the dawn, E.C., who was leaning on Monet's delicate body, noticed the sudden change of anger, and his eyes couldn't help but squinted slightly. In E.C.'s memory, when the original surgical fruit appeared on Mignon Island, it was a blizzard. Looking up at the thick clouds and the chaotic wind, it was obvious that a blizzard would blow over the entire Mignon Island before long. Straightening up slightly, E.C. left Monet's tender embrace. Sugar, with a soft shout from E.C., Shatang's figure trotted over from the deck not far away. Your Highness, coming to E.C., Xiatang tilted his head and called out to E.C. Reaching out and squeezing Sugar's smooth face, E.C. ordered to Sugar, you send out all the toys. 35. Let them all go to the coast of Mignon and hide. 95. If you observe a pirate group coming ashore, let them quickly come over and report. Hearing this, Sugar nodded, turned around, and gave orders to her toys. Seeing this, E.C. pondered for a while, then turned his head and said to Monet, who was beside him, Monet, call Dylan and let them all return to dawn. 99. After hearing E.C.'s words, Monet slightly tidied up his messy clothes and responded lightly. He got up and left his position and walked quickly towards a room dedicated to keeping phone bugs in dawn. After a short while, after the two left, E.C. was alone on the foredeck. Standing on the edge of the boat, E.C. leaned forward slightly. After arriving at North Blue, E.C. has been staying at the seaside of Mignon Island for almost 3 months. Now, although it is still uncertain whether the original Barreros pirates encountered this blizzard when they landed. However, with insufficient intelligence, E.C. also has no better way. In the final analysis, the development of the kingdom's intelligence department was too slow, resulting in the inability to obtain a lot of information. Fortunately, E.C. still retains the memory of his previous life, so he was able to come here in advance for squatting. 43. The pirate group docked on the shore under the blizzard in the next 10 days. Dylan and others returned to Dawn one after another after receiving the news. Under the command of E.C., the Apocalypse Squad, Dylan and others, as well as the sailors on the ship, once again spread out beyond Mignon Island. This time, because of the large number of people, its spread has also become much larger. Moreover, as the blizzard covers more and more extensive, the people who go out to monitor the sea area also greatly reduce the probability of being discovered under the cover of the blizzard. The Sugar Beast Toy Army is responsible for monitoring the entire coast of Mignon Island. Palm-sized toys, coupled with fast speed, these toys can basically hide their body shape by looking for cover at will. At night, in E.C.'s bedroom. At this time, E.C. had just finished taking a bath and was lying on the soft bed enjoying Monet's massage. Squinting, E.C. gradually felt a little drowsy under Monet's push. After a while, E.C. fell into a deep sleep. Your Highness, at this time, The voice of Sugar came in from outside. Pushing the door open, Monet signaled Monet to calm down as soon as Sugar came in. Turning his head to look at EC, who was already asleep, Monet slowly got up and left the bedroom with Sugar. It was not until he was far away from the bedroom that Monet looked down at Sugar. His Royal Highness has fallen asleep? What happened? Hearing this, Sugar nodded and stretched out her little finger to point in the direction of Mignon Island. Sister, I just received news from my cute little toy that a pirate group has docked on the other side of the coast of Mignon Island. Oh, Monet's eyes flashed. At this time, it is docked on the coast. Furthermore, it is possible to avoid the monitoring of other people, so the only way is to sail from the bottom of the sea. Speaking of this, Monet's eyes flashed. When Sister Lena taught us before, she also said some magical things. Like a specialty at the Grand Line Sabati Archipelago, coated bubbles. And that Diaz Barreros turned out to be a Marine, so he must have been to the Grand Line too. 35. Also, according to Lena's sister, the fruit of the operation is very important, so this transaction of his must be very careful. Then, it is also very possible to snorkel from the bottom of the sea and reach Mignon directly through the bottom of the sea. Aside, Xiaotang was stunned when he heard Monet's series of words. She really didn't know that her sister had transformed into what she is now in a short period of time. Meng Meng blinked her eyes, and Xiaotang asked weakly after Monet finished speaking. Then, what are we going to do next? Should we wake up His Highness first? Hearing this, Monet shook his head and said, the Barreros pirates are not strong. If the others don't come back, then it is definitely necessary to wake up His Highness. After all, you and I are both weak, but it's different now. Everyone else has come back. Therefore, there is no need to disturb Your Highness with such trivial matters. 35. As people of His Highness, it is our most basic duty to solve problems for His Highness. While speaking, Monet turned to leave. Behind him, Xiaotang didn't know what to do for a while, so he chose to follow behind Monet. After leaving this floor, Monet used the phone bug to notify the rest. Soon, on the deck of the Dawn, Dylan and others also returned one after another. The Apocalypse team, Dylan's 4 mini sailors, all returned to Dawn after 10 minutes. Only then did Monet speak to everyone on the deck. Just now, Sugar found a pirate group docked on the other side of the coast of Mignon Island. 35. Although I don't know if it is the Barreros pirates, but that pirates can escape our surveillance. It's perfectly clear that they docked at Mignon for their own purposes. There is a high possibility that they are the Barreros pirates. Of course, it is not ruled out that this is another pirate group. After all, no one knows whether the Barreros pirates have leaked information. Standing in front of the crowd, Monet talked eloquently. Although Monet has been on the boat for a while, and his strength is still very weak. However, as he sees appointed personal maid, Monet and Sugar still have great power. At the very least, it is possible to mobilize Dylan and others. In the kingdom of Helios, being a personal maid means that she will be by EC's side all her life. When EC grows up and favors the 2 daughters, then the 2 daughters will become EC's concubines directly from maids. This, on the Dawn, is basically clear. Even Lena had said it many times before when she taught Monet and Sugar. The performance of the 2 women did not disappoint Dylan and others during this period of time. Although the strength is weak for the time being, but that is because the 2 have just eaten the devil fruit and have just begun to cultivate. However, during this period of time, after the 2 gradually became familiar with everything on the ship, their own characteristics gradually showed. Among them, Monet gradually became mature and rational and became EC's secretary. Big and small matters, EC will leave it to Monet to handle. And Monet would also take these things seriously and earnestly and was completely meticulous. Even in his spare time, Monet would take the initiative to read books to increase his knowledge and knowledge reserve. Therefore, Monet was able to speculate these things in this short period of time. At this moment, Monet paused slightly after finishing his guess. Immediately afterwards, Monet pondered for a while and spoke again. Next, Sugar's Beast toy will secretly monitor those pirates. After they find out the news, the next step is our action time. His Royal Highness has rested. As His Highness's people, what we need to do most is to solve problems for His Highness. 99. If everything needs to be handled by His Royal Highness personally, then we will be very redundant. So if we find that Diaz Barreros is not strong, then this is our chance. Stolen the fruit of the operation first, and then annihilate the entire Barreros pirates. You can't let a pirate leave Mignon alive. However, if Diaz Barreros is found to be powerful, then His Highness can only do it himself. So, do you have any other suggestions? After speaking, Monet asked the crowd. On the deck, everyone shook their heads silently, and there was nothing to say. They also felt that what Monet said should have been taken into consideration. Therefore, for other suggestions, everyone has no other objections. Even Dylan and Avery, the four who have been with EC the longest, have no objection to this. Although Monet went straight to the sky from nothing and became the existence that can mobilize them. However, the Dylan four did not say much about this. After all, it was EC's decision. For EC, the four Dylans are extremely loyal and 100% believe in EC's vision. It now appears that Monet's performance did not disappoint them. At this time, Monet waited a little and found that no one had any objection, and then he did not plan to wait any longer. Then, let's get started. Sugar, send the Toy Corps to infiltrate that pirate group and check if it's the Barrios pirates. If it wasn't for the Barreros pirates, we would have destroyed them directly. If it's the Barreros pirates, let the toys find out where the surgical fruit is stored. After we stole it out, we attacked directly and wiped out the Barreros pirates. Hearing this, Xiatang nodded his head with a serious expression. Sister, I understand. Seeing this, Monet smiled lightly, and his body instantly turned into countless snowflakes and merged into the blizzard in the sky. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from everyone's eyes and flew in the direction of the pirates. Immediately, everyone on the deck jumped off the Dawn and quickly followed. As for the Sugar, he sat on the back of a huge tiger toy and followed behind everyone. The old god was sitting on the back of the tiger toy, and Xiatang, relying on the ability of the childlike fruit, watched and directed the actions of the toy army from a distance. On the deck of the Dawn, after everyone left, a figure in pajamas slowly appeared on the bow. I never thought that Monet would have such talent. Standing on the bow of the boat, EC looked at the many figures who were far away. EC touched his chin and sighed a few words. However, although the arrangement is not bad, the safety of the Dawn is an omission. Li Zhao, Tisk, after all, it's the first time, it's already pretty good. Looks like I'll have to practice more in the future. Don't look at EC has fallen asleep before, but in terms of EC's observation Haki now. Before the Sugar reached the bedroom, EC had already woken up. After that, EC did not stop Monet and others from moving, but kept silently watching. Monet just said something EC agrees with. That is, it is impossible to do everything by yourself. If you do everything yourself, what's the use of subordinates? Moreover, although Diaz Barreros was originally Marine, with the strength of Dylan and others, he was completely able to deal with it. The most important thing is just the whereabouts of the fruit of the operation. As long as they find and obtain the fruit of the operation, with the strength of Dylan and others, they can destroy the Barreros pirates in minutes. Therefore, EC intends to use this kind of action to see the performance of the crowd. Of course, EC didn't plan to let go of the surgical fruit. So, EC used observation Haki to scan around Dawn. After finding that there was no danger, there was a sound of clattering. EC's whole body instantly turned into countless bats and scattered away. Under the dark clouds with snowflakes and strong winds, countless bats flew into the night sky and eventually disappeared. 44. The fall of the Barreros pirates Mignon Island. On the other side of the coast, several pirates are docked on the shore. At this moment, a large number of pirates disembarked from the pirate ship. Under the command of several pirate cadres, some pirates began to disperse to the surrounding area and patrol the surrounding area. Some pirates began to set up camps, and tents, tables, chairs, beds, etc. were continuously transported from the pirate ship. Move me all. A pirate officer waved a big sword in his hand and commanded loudly to these pirate minions. According to the captain's order, we are staying here for a few days. Now, set up camp for me, and after it's done, make a fire and have a banquet. 55 hearing this, the pirates who were working were shouting excitedly. Oh, banquet, banquet. Ha ha, have a banquet. Eat meat, eat meat. Ha ha. I remember that there seems to be a small village or a small town on this island. What's the matter? Don't you want to? Thief, ha ha, of course. It's been a long time since I met a woman. 35. Anyway, the island will be slaughtered at that time, so it's better to grab a few and enjoy it. But will this ruin the captain's plan? Thief, ha ha. What nonsense are you talking about? It's just a few pussies, and if you snatch it, you will snatch it away. 35. If those people are not convinced, just kill them. Can't you enjoy yourself after sailing all the way for so long? 35. Wow, ha, you kid is right. 35. Quack, quack. Hurry up and move things. Go grab it after the banquet. Together. Together. Soon, with the efforts of a large number of pirates, a humble camp was set up. Even the cold blizzard could not hide the mood of the pirates having a party. At this time, in the captain's room of a pirate ship, a faint candle shone on a figure in a tattered marine suit. Although this figure was wearing a tattered marine suit, 257 wore a pirate captain's hat on his head. Obviously, this person is the fallen marine and the current captain of the Barreros Pirates Dies Barreros. Kacha with a small iron box locked into a secret mechanism, Barrius slowly stood up. After simply tidying up his captain's hat and tattered marine suit, Barreros turned and left the captain's room. When Barreros left for a long time, a small figure slowly walked out of a dark corner. With the help of the weak candlelight, this small figure soon fully appeared as it got closer and closer to the candlelight. At the same time, the closed windows of the captain's room slowly opened, and then a large amount of snowflakes fell into the captain's room. Gradually, the snowflakes fell to the ground, and countless snowflakes slowly formed a graceful shadow. Monet emerged from the snowflakes and glanced down at the tiger toy at his feet. Under the guidance of the tiger toy, Monet discovered this hidden mechanism. Reach out, a finger becomes elemental, and snowflakes cling to the surface of the mechanism. Then, under Monet's control, a large number of snowflakes spread to the entire surface of the organ. Strangely, when the snowflakes spread to the surface of the mechanism, it did not turn into ice water to freeze the mechanism. Instead, it silently melted into a trace of cold water that flowed into the mechanism from the gap. Kacha in the silent captain's room, there was a sudden kaba sound. Monet's figure paused for a while, and after waiting for a while to find that no one came back, Monet took action again. Click, click, click. The icy water line flowed into the inside of the mechanism, and under Monet's control, it began to slowly freeze inside. The interior of the organ is not spacious, and soon, Monet completely freezes the interior of the organ. Taking a deep breath, Monet's eyes narrowed slightly. The whole person's attention became extremely concentrated. Relying on the characteristics of his own snow and snow fruit, Monet started to focus on controlling the mechanism in front of him and slowly opened it from the inside. Crunch, crunch, crunch with Monet's control. Inside the mechanism, the frozen ice began to move gradually. Its movement, the organs that it drives are also slowly changing positions at this moment. Click. Finally, a few minutes later, after several trials, Monet finally opened the mechanism. With a wave of his hand, the snowflakes gradually condensed, turning into a snowy hand and reaching into the mechanism. Click. With this sound, the snow hand composed of snowflakes shattered on the spot. Looking at the long steel needles, Monet's eyes narrowed slightly. Sure enough, I guessed right, there must be other means of prevention. With a murmur in his heart, Monet once again condensed a snowy hand and reached into the inside of the agency. This time, the snow hand directly bent the steel needles and then penetrated into the interior of the organ without any hindrance. Picking up the small iron box deep inside, Monet took it out easily. As Snow Hand came out with the small iron box, Monet stretched out his hand to pick up the box from Snow Hand. Then pull out the lock pin on the small iron box. Soon, a devil fruit was printed into Monet's eyes. Red, heart, arabesque spiral pattern. After looking at it carefully, Monet confirmed that it was the fruit of the operation and put it into his pocket that he had already prepared. After looking around the captain's room and finding nothing special, Monet turned into snowflakes again, wrapped his pockets, and flew out of the captain's room. At the same time, when the Barreros pirates were having a banquet, Dylan and others and a large number of beast toys were also quietly hiding not far away. Lying on the snow, everyone quietly waited for Monet. As the blizzard got bigger and bigger, at this moment, a slender figure loomed in the blizzard. Ta-ta-ta, the sound of footsteps broke the silent snow. The fruit of the operation is successful. Let's get started. 99. As soon as the voice fell, Monet's figure was fully revealed. At the same time, after hearing Monet's words, the crowd did not respond, but moved towards the pirates' camp. Cheers! Ha ha! It's still cool to have a banquet. 99. Yeah, eating meat and drinking alcohol. It's really the coolest thing. 35. It's a pity that there are fewer women. Otherwise, it would be even better. Thief, haha, brothers. After the banquet, we'll go grab a few tomorrow. At that time, our entire pirate group will be cool. Thief, haha. 66-foot, ha ha ha. Brother Dayu is right. Year for a better tomorrow. Cheers. Okay, cheers. Ha, Brother Dayu, come on. Your blue peach pie. Thief, ha ha. Thank you, bro. Don't worry. I will definitely grab a few more for you tomorrow. 35. Gaha. Brother, with your words, I'm relieved. Hey, brother. Who are we and who are we? Yes, we don't have to divide it so clearly. Come on, brother, let's go. 35. Cheers. Cheers. When the crowd gradually approached the banquet venue of the pirates, the more and more lively movement began to come slowly. There were wild laughter and scolding, treacherous laughter, exchange of cups. Took to see if there are pirates patrolling around. At this moment, hidden behind a boulder, Dylan asked the sugar beside him. Hearing this, Sugar nodded and said, My toy core didn't see any other pirates nearby. Hearing Sugar's words, Dylan and the others looked at each other and nodded in unison. Although they have observation haki, the coverage of their observation haki is not large. That's why Dylan asked Sugar before the final attack. Now, after getting Xing Tong's definite answer, everyone has no other worries. Come on, not a single one. SHHH following the order, everyone stepped on their feet and rushed up quickly. Puff puff immediately afterwards, an endless stream of piercing sound sounded. The whole place where the banquet was located was immediately filled with a strong, bloody smell. Enemy attack. At this moment, a frightened pirate minion pushed away the blood-spitting corpse on his body, and a terrified scream was heard. Boom! With this scream, the atmosphere of the entire camp exploded. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Damn, they actually did a sneak attack. Who is it? Which force is it? Boom! When many pirates were in a mess, Barrius slammed his wine bowl and ran towards the pirate ship. SHHH, however, when Barreros took action, Eli, Shima, and Orton suddenly blocked Barreros from 3 directions in a flash. Damn, you are here for the fruit of the surgery. Looking at the 3 people blocking his path, Barrius' face suddenly became extremely ugly. Armed finger pistol, armed tempest kick, armed iron fist. 35. Ignoring Barrero's words, Eli and the 3 attacked Barreros in unison. There was the slightest hesitation, and there was no intention to speak. At the same time, the 3 of them tacitly attacked Barreros. Seeing the way the 3 of them attacked, Barry Rustin's pupil shrank. An instinctive tumbling dodged Avery's finger pistol. Then a lazy donkey rolled to avoid Orton's fist again. However, the tempest kick of the Mastiff kills Bobarus, but there is no possibility of evasion. At this time, because of the continuous rolling, the captain's hat on Barry's head had already fallen to the ground. He was so embarrassed that he could only use iron blocks for defense at the last minute. Either way, it's Marine, and Barreros is a little bit better at Marine 6 styles. Iron. 55 clang. When the iron block was displayed, a clashing sound rang out. However, there was no sign of excitement on Barrero's face, because at this moment, Barry suddenly understood why the hands and feet turned black when Eli and the three of them were attacking. 45 The dawn that set sail. The angry Rosinante, that's Haki. It fell with the shocked words of Barreros. At this moment, the whole body was tense, so that the hard iron block of the body was crushed by a powerful force at this moment. Bang! A dull voice sounded. Barreros was directly knocked into the air by the powerful Tempest kick slashing wave. In midair, Barreros spit out several pools of blood with visceral fragments from the corner of his mouth. There was a look of horror in his eyes. Swish! At this moment, Eli's figure instantly appeared not far behind Barrius. A jet-black armed Haki wrapped around his right fist, and he looked at Barrius, who was flying backwards toward him. Boom! The pitch-black fist slammed toward Barreros. The powerful force directly shattered Barreros' spine. A loud bang. Barrius, who had no resistance at all, was killed on the spot. Under Eli's punch, the whole person was broken except for the spine. The bones and the rest of the body are broken to varying degrees. Bang! The corpse landed on the ground with a slightly dull sound. At this moment, the entire Barrius Pirates temporary station suddenly quieted down for a while. The other pirates who were resisting were stunned when they saw their captain burp like that. However, Dylan and Aldo and others did not hesitate. They launched an attack on these people. While these pirates were stunned, the attacks in the hands of everyone did not stop, but killed their opponents more quickly. For a while, those pirates died in shock. Puff puff, one body after another fell. A large number of pirates died, one after another at the hands of everyone. For a time, the entire banquet place was filled with mourning and screams. Not a single one. Looking at some of the pirates who were still screaming, Dylan directly gave the order to silence them. Hearing this, Aldo's Apocalypse team and the rest began to make up for their swords. For all the pirates lying on the ground, whether they are dead or not, they will make up for it. Dylan, Eli, and the others went to the pirate ship docked on the coast to search for other openings. After everyone checked again and again, they found that there was no one pirate group alive around. At this time, the figure of Sugar appeared out of nowhere. Beside her, each of the beast toys carried the slightest bloodline on their bodies. Let's go. Monet's figure reappeared, glanced at the surroundings, picked up the sugar, and turned it into snowflakes and left. Seeing this, everyone turned around and left. Under the dark night, the blizzard became more and more raging. Gradually, as the snow got thicker and thicker, layers of white snow gradually covered the corpses on the ground. Above the mast of the pirate ship, a bat quietly flew up and quickly disappeared into the night. On the dawn, EC's figure appeared quietly. Soon after, Monet, Sugar, Dylan, Aldo, Avery, and others also returned to dawn. Your Highness! After seeing EC, everyone was shocked and hurried forward to salute. Good job. EC looked at everyone, nodded his head lightly, and said with a look of approval, "This time you cooperated very well, and I hope you can continue to do so in the future. Thank you, Your Highness." After hearing EC's words, everyone was overjoyed, because EC didn't blame them for their actions, but praised them. Your Highness, this is the fruit of the operation. Monet took the fruit of the surgery and took a step forward and handed it to EC. Reaching out his hand, EC took the surgical fruit and put it into the king's treasure. With a thought, a noble phantasm embryo in Wang Ji's treasure was fused with this surgical fruit. Noble phantasm. Operation fruit. Type. Active noble phantasm. Type. Consuming noble phantasm liberation. After eating, you can get the ability. Operation space room. Medical skills max. No side effects. Taking a look at the properties of the surgical fruit after the noble phantasm was transformed, EC couldn't help showing a smile on his face. After waiting for so long, I finally got the fruit of the surgery. As for the fruit of the surgery, EC did not intend to eat it himself or give it to others. For this so-called ultimate fruit, EC has his own ideas. After all, no matter how you use it, EC can extract the complete noble phantasm and the fruit of surgery. Therefore, when you have an idea, you must boldly test it out. However, as it is too late today, it is not the time to experiment. Therefore, EC glanced at everyone and said softly, "Okay, You've been busy all night. Let's all go to rest. 99. In addition, inform the navigator and the helmsman to set sail from here now. Next, people from other forces will be welcomed here. For now, it's better not to expose. Years sail in the direction of the kingdom of Germa. 55. Hearing this, everyone responded in unison. Yes, your highness. Nodding, EC turned into countless bats and left the deck. Returning to his bedroom, EC lay lazily on the soft bed again. Although he wore pajamas when he went out, EC didn't want to change anymore because he didn't get dirty. Soon after, Monet and Sugar, wrapped in bath towels, walked into EC's bedroom one after another. Your Highness. The two greeted EC softly. Afterwards, Sugar went directly to the wardrobe on the side and changed into a cute bear pajamas. As for Monet, he took off his shoes and went to bed and came to EC's side, reaching out and gently holding EC in his arms. EC's head rested softly in front of Monet's body, breathing a rich milk fragrance. EC's eyes were slightly closed, and the whole person slowly fell into a deep sleep. Not long after, when Sugar was wearing bare pajamas and turned off the bedlight, she also slept on the other side of Monet. At the same time, when everyone else went back to their rooms to sleep peacefully, Dawn, under the control of the navigators and helmsmen, slowly left the port. It didn't take long for the Dawn to leave the island of Mignon and head towards the location of the kingdom of Germa. Just as Dawn left the island of Mignon, at this time, the camp where the Barrero's pirates were destroyed was not far away. Razanani and Luo quietly appeared here. Mr. Corazon, it seems too quiet here. Standing in the middle of a small snow slope, Luo Wei looked at this quiet area and said, and Razanani didn't even need Luo to speak to know that something was wrong. He was marine trained after all, and he wasn't as terminally ill as Luo. 4 flowers or so, long before Luo, Razanani discovered the strangeness of the Barrero's pirate camp. You wait here, I'll take a look. As he spoke, Razanani led Luo behind the boulder beside him. Then, under the ability to cast the Fruit of Silence, any sound from Razanani completely dissipated. On the snow, Razanani left a series of footprints and gradually came to the camp of the Barrero's pirates. The goal is the corpses covered with snowflakes. Is this an attack? Looking at the corpses everywhere, Razanani's face couldn't help showing a look of shock. Is it Dover? No, it can't be him. After all, these injuries don't look like he did with those family officials. 5 looking carefully at the wounds on the corpse, Razanani's face gradually showed a look of surprise. These wounds much like Marine 6 styles. 39. Is it the world government? CPO organization? Eyes narrowed slightly. Razanani could not help but secretly guess. Not good. The fruit of the operation. At this moment, Razanani shuddered suddenly, remembering the purpose of bringing Luo to Mignon Island this time. Therefore, Razanani was not at all careful and rushed towards the pirate ships not far away. On the way, Razanani paused slightly after seeing the body of Barrero's, and then increased his speed again. Entering the pirate ships, Razanani started frantically searching for all the pirate ships. Captain's room, pirate rest room, material reserve. Half an hour later, Razanani walked out of the pirate ship in despair. Damn! With his fist clenched, Razanani's face showed a hideous look of anger under the night. Fruit of the operation was taken away. Razanani's anger could be imagined as his fist smashed the boat pole on the side. Who? Outraged, Razanani had to force himself to calm down. The fruit of the operation is gone, although I don't know who took it away, but at present, the possibility of world government is the greatest. 5 now, Luo's condition has worsened, and if he doesn't treat it again. After calming down, Razanani immediately thought of Luo's situation. Today, the plan has changed dramatically. The only thing that can be done now is to send Luo to Naval headquarters as soon as possible. However, once Luo was sent to Naval headquarters, Razanani's identity will be directly exposed to Doflamingo. At that time, the two brothers will definitely turn against each other, and with Doflamingo's character, they will definitely find an opportunity to kill Razanani and Luo. However, let Razanani watch Luo die like this. Razanani can't do it. So, standing on the deck, Razanani's face changed constantly. In the end, Razanani decided to save Luo. Doflamingo's affairs can be planned in the follow-up, but Luo's body is difficult to persist. Thinking of this, Razanani's face was sure, and he took out a phone bug from his arms. Taking a few deep breaths, Razanani randomly flipped the phone bug in his hand. Blue, blue, blue with the sound of the dial. Razanani's face gradually calmed down. Don't go back on what has been decided. At this point, his undercover lurking plan has already failed 10:46. Razanani's undercover plan failed Masamaxi. The phone worm was connected, and a slightly tired voice of Warring States came out. I am Razanani. Holding the phone bug, Razanani didn't tell the Warring States the code name to answer, but said his name directly. On the other side of the phone bug, at this time, in the bedroom of the Warring States period. When Razanani said his name directly, the Warring States period suddenly shuddered, and the whole person instantly woke up. Razanani Sengoku was very clear that when an undercover Marine did not call himself a code name, it meant that the undercover Marine either completed the undercover mission or failed the undercover mission. What happened? Although I really want to know what happened to Luon and Road now. However, the strong self-control also made Sengoku stop his curiosity. Instead, he asked about Razanani with a serious expression. Who? Hearing Sengoku's question, Razanani let out a light breath. Sengoku Admiral, the fruit of the surgery is gone, and the Barrero's pirates have been destroyed. 99 Suddenly, the surprised voice of the Warring States came from the phone bug. What? The fruits of his surgery are gone. 35 No, it's not that the trade time is 3 weeks away. It's not yet time, and it's only a few days before the trading time. 99 You know at this time that the fruit of the 257 operation is gone. Speaking of this, on the other side of the phone bug, Warring States' expression changed several times, and his face was a little ugly. Are you hiding something from me? Hearing this, Razanani sighed and said with some guilt, Sorry, Sengoku Admiral. Saying an apology, there's nothing to hide now. Afterwards, Razanani briefly talked about his own affairs in the Don Quixote family and the matter of taking Luo everywhere to find a doctor. In the end, Razanani also said that he wanted to let Luo eat the fruit of the operation to save his life. In the bedroom, Warring States had already got up and sat up. The goat, who was inseparable by the side, couldn't help but raise his head from the bed. Tilt his head, the goat looked at the Warring States with some confusion. It was as if he was asking why Sengoku still didn't sleep so late. Seeing this, Sengoku stroked the goat's head while listening to Razanani's narration. After Razanani finished speaking, Sengoku sighed after being silent for a long time. Razanani, take that kid back to Naval Headquarters. 35 The Naval Headquarters has a special medical department, which can still treat this kid's lead disease. As for the undercover plan, let's stop there. You now find a hidden place to hide in Mignon Island. 35 Tsuru is currently heading to Mignon, and I'll speed it up. Hearing this, Razanani's eyes turned slightly red, and he nodded his head heavily. He did not expect that the Warring States period would directly take a single stroke on his own private actions. Razanani's eyes couldn't help but get wet when he remembered the little things that happened after he adopted him in the Warring States period. I see. Thanks. The tone was a little choked. Razanani felt extremely guilty for failing to live up to the training of the Warring States period. On the other side, Sengoku also heard the change in Razanani's tone. Xiaomi Gua, although you acted privately, your original intention is still good. So, this time your undercover results are worth the effort. 99 Also, because you violated the Marine regulations because you acted privately. 35 So, after you return to Naval Headquarters, you cannot leave Naval Headquarters for half a step for 10 years. Do you understand? When Razanani heard this, he was very clear in his heart that Sengoku was afraid of being retaliated by Doflamingo. Therefore, it will limit its scope of action. I understand. Hearing Razanani's answer, Sengoku nodded lightly. In that case, you should hide for now. Tsuru will call you directly when the time comes. After speaking, Warring States hung up the phone. Sitting beside the bed, Sengoku held the phone bug and pondered for a while, but decided to call Crane first. After all, if you call the five elders now, you will definitely be scolded by them and even give you other tasks to delay your time. Blue, blue, blue. After dialing, the warring states waited quietly. At this time, in the uninhabited sea of North Blue, several marine warships were sailing all the way. In the middle of the night, most of the Marines were resting, including the Marine Vice Admiral Crane. Unfortunately, the sound of a phone call interrupted the Crane's sleep time. Click. Then he turned on the bedside lamp at the bedside, and the Crane got up and picked up the phone and answered the phone. Masamaxi, I'm Warring States. Hearing the voice from the phone bug, he frowned slightly. Sungwa, is there any urgent matter for calling me so late? Hearing this, Warring States was slightly silent for a while and then said, the fruit of the operation is gone, and the Barrero's pirates have been destroyed. What? Hearing the words of the Warring States period, the Crane couldn't help being slightly startled. The fruit of the operation is gone, and the Barrero's pirates have been destroyed? Could be that CP0 did it? Warring States shook his head and said, who exactly did it, I don't know yet. If the CPO did it, then the five elders should have notified us. 359, however, until now I have not been notified, so I am not sure if the CPO did it. 39. Hearing this, he suddenly fell into deep thought. If it wasn't for the CPO, could it be the kid in the Don Quixote family who did it? No, you're a Marine 4 now, so you shouldn't know what happened to North Blue. So, that's what Razanani told you, right? Yeah. With a light reply, Warring States said that he guessed correctly. Since that's the case, Razanani didn't tell you about it, so it can be ruled out as that kid Doflamingo. Hearing the affirmation of the Warring States period, Crane's brain suddenly started to work quickly. If nothing else happens, only the world government, Marine, the Don Quixote family, and the Barrero's pirates should know about this matter from beginning to end. 99. Now that the Barrero's pirates have been destroyed, Marine can rule it out, and the Don Quixote family can also rule it out. The biggest possibility left is the CP organization. Years, however, the five elders have not contacted you until now. 35. Then, the chances of CP tissue getting the fruit of the operation are not very high. That is to say, in addition to our forces, there are unknown people or forces involved. Crane pondered for a while, then guessed. There are not many people or forces who can get the information of the fruit of the operation. First of all, the ordinary people who live on Mignon Island can be excluded. Then, the rest are the pirates and underground forces entrenched in the New World. Speaking of this, suddenly, Crane narrowed his eyes slightly as if he had remembered something. Apart from these people, I have a guess. The North Blue has been very lively recently, and an unknown force is wanton robbing the swordsmen's sabers and scientists. It's just that those people have been hiding their identities, and Marine's intelligence spy can't get close. For the time being, I still don't know what power those people are. Then, is there a possibility that this unknown force took the opportunity to snatch the fruit of the operation after discovering the information about it? After all, the Barrero's pirates always need supplies, and it is not impossible if they happen to meet this unknown force and then be tortured. The same pirate group, even if Barrius wants to hide the business of the fruit of the operation. 99. However, there will still be some winds leaking out in the end. Hearing this, Warring States couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. He did not expect that the Crane could analyze so many things, and, plausibly to speculate, looks a lot like that. Slightly frowned, Warring States said, I will write down this inference first, and I will let people check the identities of those people. 35. However, in calling you this time, there's another thing besides this. 35. Razanani is on Mignon now, and he rescued a kid who was suffering from Perpetua. Now that his undercover plan has been abandoned, you hurry up and get them back to Naval headquarters. Hearing the words, he nodded lightly. Got it. 35. Hanging up the phone, the Crane couldn't help thinking. Save a kid with Percola's disease. Undercover plan failed. It seems that this kid was in the Don Quixote family before. Furthermore, if Sengoku knew that the fruit of the operation was gone, Razanani must have detected it. Then, I will go to investigate before the trading time. Is it because the fruit of the operation can save the kid? How bold. Razanani, trying to play tricks in front of the world government. Is he prepared to use his own death to transfer the disappearance of the fruit of the operation? It's just that. Now it seems that the plan is unable to keep up with the changes, and the fruit of the operation has been 1.0 first. After a little thought in his heart, Crane guessed Razanani's plan. It's just that things have changed now, and it's useless to think about it. Therefore, the Crane no longer thought about it, but directly called the adjutant and told the adjutant to order the warship he was on to move towards Mignon Island at full speed. Just when Crane's warship left the fleet and took the first step. On one of the fleet's warships, a figure saw this scene in a separate room of a Marine sergeant. With the help of the moonlight, it can be found that this figure is tall and strong, muscular, with short black hair and lightning-shaped temples on both sides of his cheeks. This person is the Don Quixote family, that is, Virgo, the undercover agent Doflamingo, sent to Marine. The top cadre of the Don Quixote family, the suit is Red Heart, that is, first-generation Corazon. As for the current heart, it is Don Quixote Razanani. It's just that Razanani didn't know the existence of Virgo, so he always thought he was the heart of the first-generation PS. Before Razanani went undercover for the Don Quixote family, Virgo was sent by Doflamingo to go undercover at Marine. Therefore, Razanani did not know about Virgo's existence, and Doflamingo and Toripol did not tell Razanani about Virgo. 47 unchanged fate and changed fate watching the warship on which the Crane was sitting quickly sail away. Virgo turned around and took out a phone bug from one of his hidden drawers. Blue, blue, blue as the phone bug rang. Soon, a click sound came, and the phone worm was connected. Sigh, sigh, sigh. At the same time, Doflamingo's laughter rang out the moment the phone worm was connected. Virgo, is there anything important to contact me so late? 35 hearing this. Virgo carefully observed the movement around him. Then he lowered his head and whispered to the phone bug. Dover, the Marine Vice Admiral Crane, seems to be doing something. As Virgo's words fell, on the other side of the phone bug, Doflamingo's body suddenly jumped up from a bed. This time, Crane recruited Marine from my branch to go to Mignon. Just now, the warship where Crane was in broke away from our fleet and accelerated directly to Mignon Island. Dover, I suspect that something has happened to Mignon Island. What to do next, Dover? You have to think for yourself. I'm in the pirate fleet now, so I won't say more. This is the only information at the moment, and I will contact you when there is something. 39 Pat, after speaking, Virgo directly hung up the phone bug. Putting the phone bug into the hidden drawer, Virgo glanced at the sea in the distance. I saw that it was just a phone call, and the warship the Crane was on had disappeared. Don Quixote pirate ship. At this point, Doflamingo put the phone bug in his hand into his pocket. Doflamingo was not surprised by Virgo's initiative to hang up the phone. After all, it is undercover. Virgo must be 22, the more careful the better. Pushing on the pink glasses that he didn't know when to put on, Doflamingo pondered slightly. Is there any change in Mignon Island? Counting the time, my dear brother Razanani should have arrived at Mignon. 35, but until now there's been no contact at all. Sigh, sigh, sigh. 99, is it mutiny or something else? While pushing open the window sharply, Doflamingo's fingers popped a thread so thin that it was invisible to the naked eye to help the dark clouds in the sky. Then, relying on the traction of the thin line, Doflamingo continuously ejected the thin line, flying and moving at high speed in midair. As Doflamingo left, many officers and pirates on the pirate ship woke up one after another. Toripol, what happened? Diamanti walked quickly to the deck and asked Toripol, who was already on the deck at this time. It must have been an accident. 99 hearing this, Toripol sucked in his snot. He sensed when Doflamingo was leaving, and watched Doflamingo leave quickly on the deck. Instruct the family members to immediately sail towards Mignon Island with all their strength. Dover just left quickly in that direction. 35 after hearing Torpol's words, Diamanti didn't hesitate at all and turned around to make arrangements. On the other side, when Doflamingo and Crane were both heading towards Mignon Island, the warring states as far away as Marineford also called the Five Elders. Warring states. Is there anything that needs to be reported at night? 35 at this moment. The Five Elders frowned a little in their seats. Among them, the bald-headed Five Elders immediately asked the Warring States period. Lord Five Elders, the fruit of the surgery is gone. 39 suddenly. The Five Elders woke up instantly. What are you talking about? The fruit of the operation is gone. Warring States. Do you know what you were talking about? Damn, what the hell is going on? Warring States, you have to make it clear. 95, damn, it's almost time for trading and this kind of thing happened. 35. Why did the fruit of the operation disappear? Did Barrius escape? The five voices continued to sound, and the whole person of Warring States couldn't help but press his temples. Because it's just too loud. Originally, the spirit of the middle of the night was not very good, but now listening to this chaotic voice, Warring States felt that his whole person was not good. Warring States, tell everything that happened. Finally, the Five Elders slowly calmed down. Among them, the blonde Five Elders sitting on the armrest of the chair motioned for the others to be quiet, while he spoke to the phone bug. Oh. Taking a deep breath, Sengoku spoke slowly. Of course, some things are bound to change slightly. The Barrius Pirates appointment is 3 weeks away, and my spies in the Don Quixote family were sent to Mignon in advance by Doflamingo. Tonight, after the spies arrived on Mignon Island, they secretly approached the temporary camp of the Barrero's pirates by relying on their silence fruit ability. 99, however, according to the information from the spies, when he went to the camp of the Barrero's pirates, the entire Barrero's pirates have been destroyed. Even those corpses were covered with thick snowflakes, indicating that the time of death should not be short. Afterwards, the spies searched all the Barrero's pirate ships and did not find any devil fruit. So, according to Crane's speculation, other than the CPO, there may be other unknown forces that have captured the fruits of the operation. Now, I have ordered the Crane to speed up and head to Mignon Island. However, I want to know now, is the fruit of the operation taken by someone from the CPO? Hearing this, the blonde Five Elders immediately shook their heads. Impossible. It is absolutely impossible for CP0 to reach Mignon Island right now. If the CPO does get the fruit of the surgery, we'll know for sure. So, the fruit of the operation should have been captured by other unknown forces. Speaking of which, the face of the blonde Five Elders also turned ugly. Not only him, but the faces of the other 4 Five Elders were abnormally ugly. After all, who knew that the fruit of the operation would be stolen halfway at this point in time? Sengoku, Marine tried his best to find out which faction stole the fruit of the operation. 55, in addition, the CP organization will also cooperate with you. Hearing this, the voice of the Warring States came from among the phone bugs. Okay, I see. 35 after that. The two sides hung up the phone, and the atmosphere in the power room where the Five Elders belonged suddenly became extremely dignified. Bald Five Elders. The fruit of the surgery must be found out. Bald Five Elders, be sure to find out whether that faction knows the ultimate power of the fruit of surgery or just happened to steal the fruit. 5 straight to Five Elders. Yeah, this thing has to be figured out. Straight hair, Five Elders. The ultimate ability of the fruit of surgery. We have been hiding it very well, but we can't rule out other channels. Curly Five Elders. Whether we need to figure out or not, we're going to get the fruits of the operation back. Curly Five Elders. If that unknown force knew about the ultimate power of the fruit of surgery, then it's likely that they would secretly train doctors and then perform ageless surgery. Curly hair Five Elders. In addition, there are 2 possibilities. One is to permanently hide in inconspicuous and unknown places. Curly hair Five Elders. Another one, with a good chance that the fruit of surgery could be eaten by items. Bald-headed Five Elders. Is that technology invented by Vegapunk? Bald-headed Five Elders. It's better to eat things than to be permanently hidden in inconspicuous and unknown places. 39. Blonde Five Elders. Indeed, if it is really hidden, even our world government is hard to find. Blonde Five Elders. Even if the fruit of surgery is hidden under the sea and never sees the light of day, it will be even harder to find. balding 5 elders, so must find the fruit of the operation. 99 bald 5 elders. There is also that force, which must be strictly investigated. Bald-headed 5 elders. As long as that power is on the sea, it's sure to find things. 35 straight to 5 elders. Yes, seconded. Curly 5 elders. Second. 99 bald 5 elders. Well, agree. Blonde 5 elders. Second. The next morning, off the coast of Mignon Island. At this time, the warship on which Crane was riding, after sailing with all his strength, arrived at Mignon Island quickly after a night of time. Suddenly, before the Crane got off the warship, an exclamation came from the side. Crane Vice Admiral, here's a man who is seriously wounded and dying. 35 hearing this. He turned around and walked over quickly. At this time, the people floating on the sea were salvaged by marine and placed on the deck. Looking down, the Crane analyzed some superficial intelligence of 257. A hooded blue coat, a hooked nose, and an X scar on the chin. Overall, it looks like a man between the ages of 18 and 20 who has just come of age. At this moment, it is obvious that there are some penetrating injuries and crushing injuries on his body. Take him to the infirmary for treatment and ask him where he came from immediately after waking up. 35, after pondering for a while, the Crane ordered several soldiers to take the person to the medical room for treatment. Then, looking at Mignon Island in the snowstorm, Crane took out a phone bug from his pocket. Blue, blue, blue soon. After a few seconds, the phone worm was answered. I'm Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Crane. As soon as the phone worm got through, the Crane spoke first. Crane Vice Admiral. On the other side of the phone bug, Rosinante was delighted with Luo, who had passed out in a coma, on his back. I am Rosinante. I know. 35 hearing this. He nodded, and he is still very familiar with Rosinante. After all, Rosinante was adopted by the Warring States when he was a child, and raised him up. Crane, Sengoku, and Garp are the Iron Triangle, so I am very familiar with Rosinante. Where are you now? The warship has stopped in a port. This should be the port used by the residents of this island to go to sea. After Rosinante heard the location of the warship, he immediately ran towards the port where the warship was located. Crane Vice Admiral, I'm going to join you now. 55. Also, I have to trouble Vice Admiral to prepare a medical room. I've got a kid here who has Birch's disease and is now in a coma. Taking steps in the snow, Rosinante quickly ran towards the port where the warship was located. While running, Rosinante said, in addition, the location where the Boreros pirates were destroyed is just east of the port where the warship is currently located. 99 there. It is the place where the Boreros pirates landed and destroyed. Hearing this, he immediately nodded. Okay, I see. After a reply, the Crane hung up the phone. 48. Follow up to Mignon Island after hanging up the phone. The Crane immediately spoke to the adjutant beside him. You take a team of sailors and go to the east to see if you can find the camp of the Boreros pirates. 99. Also, check carefully to see if they're still alive, and by the way, search the pirate ship. Hearing this, the adjutant on the side responded quickly. Yes, Crane Vice Admiral. Immediately afterwards, the adjutant ordered a team of Navy soldiers to get off the warship and walked quickly towards the east. Looking at the figure of the adjutant and the group of sailors leaving, Crane fell into deep thought again. However, before Crane could ponder for a long time, a group of medics wearing medical uniforms trotted over. Crane Vice Admiral, that person has just woken up. 39, slightly stunned. The Crane recovered from his state of contemplation. Did you wake up so soon? Anything asked? The medic nodded and replied, yes. 35, according to his account, he is the captain of the Boreros pirates, the son of Dies Boreros, and his name is Drake. P.S. When I wrote about the destruction of the Boreros pirates, I forgot about Drake, so let's make a supplement here. Also, don't worry that Drake will know the truth. Hearing the words of the medic, Crane couldn't help being a little surprised. I didn't expect that there would be survivors of the Boreros pirates. Have you asked about what happened at the Boreos pirates camp last night? Hearing this, the medic shook his head and said, I've asked, but he doesn't know anything about the Boreros pirates. According to what he said, he left when the Boreros pirates set up their camp. So, He was completely unaware of the news of the collapse of the Boreros pirates. As for the wound on his body, it was because he met a predatory beast last night. 35. Last night, after he left the Boreas pirates, he went deep into the snowy mountains. 55. It's just that his luck was not very good. He met the predatory beasts and the resisting giant elephants. He accidentally broke in and was pierced with ivory by the panicked giant .95. Then he was trampled by those beasts that prey on giant elephants. Finally, chased by a snow tiger, he escaped to a cliff and jumped into the sea. Having said this, the medic paused for a moment and spoke again. Also, when we ask, we can clearly feel a thing. 35. Hearing this, he narrowed his eyes slightly and became a little curious. The medic continued to speak. This Drake doesn't seem to like his father, nor the Boreas pirates. Every time he said those two things, we could feel the anger in his tone. 35. Also, since Diaz Boreros was Marine before, he has a lot of love for Marine. He also always wondered why Diaz Boreros turned from Marine to pirate. It's just that we don't know these things, so we didn't answer his question directly. 35. After listening to the words of the medic, the crane smiled lightly. Are you dreaming of becoming a Marine?
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.